welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with KetoSimple. My name is Dustin. I'm so glad you're here. This stream will be starting soon, so grab your coffee, get comfortable, and settle in. We're building a strong and supportive community, so say hello in the chat, ask questions, and feel free to use super chats if there's anything that you want to see highlighted. Thank you for being here and being a part of this journey. Let's keep it positive and respectful as we connect and grow together. I can't wait to get started. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's one of my favorite days of the week. Welcome back. I have coffee in hand. Oh, reflecting on this week's journey and setting intentions for the week ahead, emphasizing the importance of simplicity and consistency and our daily lives and choices. Oh my goodness, I saw some really awesome comments already from you guys. You guys really get in here and get going. I thought I saw a comment from Carrie earlier. Evelyn says, "Good morning, friends," with 3 hearts. We love Evelyn, Miss Evelyn, if you will. And then she says, "Hey, Quackers, Rick." I didn't see Rick in here, but I thought I saw Carrie early this morning when I was setting some things up, and but I don't know. Things disappear sometimes. So if you have made comments and I don't see them, my apologies for that. But I'm always looking out to make sure I acknowledge everybody in the chat because we're all here to make this community bright, shiny, loving, and welcoming. And speaking of that, Mr. John Gugahan says, "Good morning. I want to once again sincerely thank everyone for the support, kindness, and encouragement extended to me last week's live. The love felt really helped me get back on track." Well, that's what we're here for, my friend. And he says this is an amazing community, and I could not agree more. And he says that after one slip up last week, I'm proud to say today that it is 5 days of being sober and 100% alcohol free. Well, I'll raise my coffee to you, my friend. I truly appreciate you sharing with us, being here, being vulnerable, letting us know what's going on in your life, because if we don't know, we can't be helpful or supportive to you. And I'm truly grateful that you feel secure enough and connected enough with all of us to share that information with us. It's truly inspirational. And John said that that is significant for me because in the past, once I make it 5 days, I seem to turn the corner one at a time. I'm able to put some really good sober time together. And with that, I'm going to take my first sip of coffee of the morning. Oh, I have to wait to hang out with you guys before I can have my coffee on Sundays. Truly, I love coffee. And it's the same coffee as normal. It's the Nescafe Instant Espresso, 5 teaspoons, which is 5 shots of espresso, butter, and heavy cream, all milk frothed together. Boiling water from a tea kettle, going old school, kicking it old school. Truly enjoy that. And thank you again, John. And Evelyn says, "Way to go, Mr. Gugahan. So proud of you. One day at a time. You've got this 1,000% one day at a time." Evelyn says, "Thanks for joining us, friends. Bring your coffee, your beverage of choice, along with your along with you. Please let us know your victories and struggles this week. What are you looking forward to next week? Hit the thumbs up. Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly what I want. I want us to share. I want us to be open and honest and have a good time because I look forward to this so much. Spend time with all of you. Ow! Mm, it's hurting my hand. So dumb. I had my hand on like the armrest of my chair, and then it's just has enough clearance to go under my desk, which is really like one of those old school folding tables. Ugh, like with like the steel, like like the fake wood on top, and then like the steel underneath with like the steel legs, and it just will glide underneath there. And I had my hand on it, then I'm trying to pull forward, and just like squished in my hand. I don't recommend people doing that. It's not good. It's not good. I don't recommend it. But yeah, I'm such a professional. Welcome. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am a professional through and through here, 100%. Let's see if we can. Andy, good morning. Time for me to pick up and go to my daughter's house. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Andy. And I hope Susan can hear me if she's awake. If not, she will hear me later. Brian is in the house. Good morning, everybody. Remember, you are what you eat. Eat meat. Yes, meat is delicious. Pack up watching the grandpuppy this week while they are on vacation. Well, that's nice. Sean Bradley's in the house. Good morning, my friend Sean. How are you doing? How is Shell? Hope you both are doing wonderful. How was your retirement party? Now you get to go start a new job, a new journey, a new adventure, if you will. Oh, people saying good morning. Brian Doyle's in the house. Good morning, my friend. I hope you're doing wonderful today. Sandy Blythe is in the house. Good morning from Florida. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Truly appreciate you being here. Chris is in the house. Good morning, Chris. Hey, hey, hey. Meet Life. Chris is in the house. Aaron at Miss Booby Goats is in the house. She says, thank you for the super chat. You are so wonderful, so welcome. I appreciate you very much, and you deserve it. Let us see people saying hello. John says, I jumped on the bandwagon and I am doing the sugar diet, sugar fasting here. Hear me out though. I don't know if you're joking or what, but I don't know. There's so much going on with that sugar diet, and I don't even really truly know what it is. I just know that there's just some controversy around it. Ooh, my ear's itchy. Anyway, like you're eating 600 grams of carbohydrates, mostly like sugar candy. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know. There's like that and the hyperketosis kind of trend that's kind of popping off. I know Two Crazy Ketos put a video out. If one of the wonderful moderators wants to throw a link to their channel and their video for hyperketosis, so I don't necessarily have to go into that today. I can dig into that kind of stuff and I can kind of see if I can find a breakdown here. Let me see if I can find a breakdown here of some things going on. Let's find out. Let's see. That doesn't help me at all. Let's see. Let's see if we can get some. Let's see what I can find here. Uh, if I could type, I keep getting things about a no sugar challenge, a 30-day no sugar challenge, but I'm not finding anything about sugar diet when I'm doing my searches here. So I don't know. It's maybe not as trendy as we think it is. And Brian is saying that, to John, that it goes fast when you just focus on today. 38 months today, sober and cigarette free for me today. Fantastic, Brian. Now, understand when you do something like quitting smoking and you've been a long time smoker, that is going to put a block on some things. So I know you have been working to start getting through some stalls and some weight loss moving. And I'm not trying to, and I'm definitely not trying to discourage you from quitting smoking, but I've seen it in friends that have made significant progress in weight loss and sort of gotten down to where their goal weight was, and then they quit smoking. And even though they continued to do everything that they had been doing before, started to go up in weight, and they gained 20, 30 pounds just from quitting smoking, even though they didn't change the way they were eating necessarily. And I know how that can be a discouragement, but understand that when you stop doing something like smoking, especially if you've been a long time smoker, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever the case is, you are going to set off a chain reaction in the body. Your body will need to heal, and it's going to take a long time, and it's going to go through a lot of things. You're going to start to heal, but along that's a long journey to heal from something you've been doing for that long that's that damaging day in and day out. So, I'm truly proud of you for quitting smoking and getting through day one with that, as if I'm reading the comments correctly here. Because I quit smoking about 15 years ago. And when I quit smoking, weight loss was not necessarily something I was considering. Well, I take that back. I take that back because understanding where I was at the time was about 2010. It was 2010, I started going to the gym. I had a friend that was working at a gym that was kind of halfway between my house and work. So I would just roll in there about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to be at work till 9. So it gave me enough time to go in, do what I needed to do. I would go in, I would lift weights, I would go at cardio, I would sit in the sauna, I would go in the pool and I would stretch. And I would do this 5 days a week. But then I would go out after being done, I would shower, get dressed, ready for work. And then I would go out in my car and start smoking, have a cigarette. And I'm like, this just can't keep going. And I was like going to like Burger King in the morning because this is obviously well before low carb keto. This was before I had any true understanding of what losing weight really entailed when it came to what I was putting in my body. I mean, I was drinking Gatorade, but I was drinking the G2, which was like half the sugar or a quarter of the sugar or something like that. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. But I would bring my orange Gatorade and I would and I would start lifting weights, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I liked the machines because they kind of allow you to lift weights without truly knowing what you really are doing. And then I was doing cardio. I was doing the elliptical for 30 minutes at a time. What took me a while to get to 30 minutes. At the first day, I probably did 5 minutes and I thought I was gonna die. But then I kinda slowly moved up and I was able to do 30 minutes and I was able to do 45 minutes and I kinda stuck on that little neighborhood there. But I would, like, still go out and smoke, and I'd go to Burger King, and I'd get the breakfast sandwiches, the 2 for 2 or the 2 for 4 or whatever they were. They were like, basically like an Egg McMuffin, but the Burger King version of it. And then I was like, "Man, these are like 400 calories each, man. I don't even know it." And I was like, "Calories? That's a lot of calories." And I only burned 100 calories on the elliptical. And I'm like, "Oh no." You know what I'm saying? And we've all been there, right? We've all been there where we're looking at the calories we're intaking and we're focused on calories because we don't necessarily know all the nuance surrounding calories, what kind of food, what kind of calories are going to be more significant than others. We're obviously not looking at low carb at all. We're just looking at calories or fat, calories and fat. We got to avoid calories and fat. Everything else, you know. I mean, just the misguided nature of nutrition information that we've had almost our entire lives. But to get back on track with the smoking, I would still smoke. And then we get to about June, come up on June of 2010, and it was a Thursday, and I ran out of cigarettes because I would go out on my breaks. Because I would go out on, I was working at the insurance company, and I would go out on my 15-minute break, and I would go and I would walk. I would do 3 laps. We had this little walking track outside around our lake, like pond, if you will. And it was about a third of a mile around. So we would do 3 laps of that as quickly as we could. Trying to do like a 10-minute mile, just walking. Probably like more like a 15-20 minute mile. We were taking longer breaks than we probably should have because then I would stop doing that. I'd be all sweaty and I would smoke. And then finally we get to a Thursday. It was roughly June 5th, something like that, right? And I'd have to look at a calendar to know for sure, but it's like a Thursday. I I ran out of cigarettes. I didn't buy any Friday. Now that Saturday was a pain in my butt because we decided to go to Wine Fest. Every year there's a Wine Fest downtown. I don't know if they still do it or not, but I've never been a big fan of wine, so I was like, well, that's a good way for me to go and try a whole bunch of different wines, see if there's any that I like. Because I'd had wine before, tasted like somehow they made liquid dry. I don't understand how they would do that, but it was like how you could liquefy dead leaves, and that's what it would taste like to me. And yeah, so I decided finally that I was going to quit smoking. It was the most rough Saturday of my entire life. And I say that, not for real, but it was a very difficult day because here I am drinking and then and then trying not to smoke. I don't recommend that. And I know that John is dealing with his, with being sober, and Brian's working on being sober, and finally, I was like, we left, and I haven't smoked since. I've had a lot of dreams about smoking, which I find fascinating. But I just wanted Brian, I just want you to understand, and maybe, and I help, and I imagine, I'm not trying to mansplain or anything like that, but just my own personal and what I've seen from other people. Just when you do decide to quit smoking, there's going to be kind of just some what will seem like you're gaining weight for no reason, but your body's just like, what are you doing to me? Where's this thing that I've been wanting for so long? And now I'm not getting it, and I'm trying to heal, and there's so much going on. Hormones are out of whack. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, I digress, and I just wanted to make sure that that doesn't, to kind of prepare yourself for that, so that doesn't cause any kind of negative impacts or cause you to go back to smoking, or because it'll stress you out. So, and that's the one thing, stress. When I was a smoker, I was stressed out all the time. And I wanna say it was a mechanism by the body to make me go smoke because your body knows if I'm stressed, I'm gonna go smoke. I'm gonna take my break, I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. So I think your body manufactures that feeling of stress because since I've quit smoking, I have stressful moments in my life, but they don't feel the same. I'm not like, I need to go smoke. I need to go do that. I may want to eat something. I may want to go and have whatever, but it's not the same. I don't know. Sherry's in the house. Good morning, dear. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, Sherry. She says, good morning. Please mash the like button. Make good old Dustin's day a little bit better. I want all of our days to be better. And so far, all of you being here has far exceeded my expectations. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, John says, after coming off of alcohol, I have serious sugar cravings. This is letting me feed those cravings, which in turn is keeping my cravings for alcohol at bay. So I am willing to try this at this stage. I understand, and I just say be careful because that's a lot of carbs. That's a lot of sugar. And I know for someone like me, I'm more prone at this point to be relapsing with carbohydrates, with sugars, than I am with alcohol or anything like that. That would cause me to go off the rails because I was never truly like an alcoholic or anything like that. I drank a lot, typically on the weekends, but I never drank during the week. I was very controlled, so I never really had benders where I went off crazy and missed work because I anything like that. I never had any of those things. But I knew that I needed to stop, and I knew I needed that. It was just something that I didn't feel good when I did. Now, like I think about all those times going into work still hungover and just like, oh, why do I do that? But anyway, I digress again. So, I hope that it works for you and I hope that, you find your way back from that as well. I just to me that's like playing with fire. I mean, legitimately for me it's like playing with fire, but I understand. Yeah, Brian, this is good to hear both of good to hear for both of you. I truly yeah. And he says Susan is still sleeping. We're apart until the 24th when we reunite to drive to Amo to visit with you and friends. I cannot wait for that. Chris says he just got off work, did a 12-hour shift. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope it wasn't bad. And Sean says the retirement party was fantastic. That surprised me with a charcuterie board with over 150 signatures on it. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. And Sean says that he is down in Georgia, right now, helping take care of his dad for the next few days. I've got to get something here. And we kind of talked about this Thursday, our Tuesday live on Thursday. But on Tuesday, I bit my tongue and it was bad. Like, I'm sure it bled some, but I'm still having some issues. Like, I'm still talking, but my teeth will scrape across the spot that it hurts. I'm like, "Ugh, ugh." So if I start to get a little weird sounding, you understand why. I know, I'm trying to do this thing where I'm talking to y'all and stuff and trying to be professional and sound like a professional. So playing the part of a professional. So yeah, so my tongue is still healing, but I have never bit my tongue like that before. I even showed Shandra. She goes, "Oh," and I showed our granddaughter. She goes, "Wow, how did you do?" And then she's been laughing at me ever since. She is Ma and Mommy rolled into one, and then like meaner. I love her, but she's so mean to me. She doesn't see me as like an authority figure at all. I mean, she will listen to me when worse comes to worse, but you know, most of the time I'm just her best friend. And you know how we listen to our best friends, right? Karen Harrington is in the house. Good morning, Karen. I'm so glad you're here. There's Rick. There's Mr. Quackers himself. Mr. Darkwing Duck. Yes. forgot to turn my other light on. Now you can see me better. But welcome, Rick. Glad to see you. All right, there's the 2KK video. Thank you, Evelyn. I appreciate that very much. John says, unfortunately, I have to get going. I am doing a little grocery shopping before church today. Well, enjoy, be safe, and we'll see you again real soon, my friend. Rick says, my whole life has been sober and cigarette free, but not iguana and duck free. I mean, and I understand, like, Rick has got, you've got such an interesting story. You haven't really fallen for a lot of the pitfalls of a lot of us have fallen for. But I still don't think I would necessarily change anything. I mean, there are things that I would change for other people. Would I have liked to have been thin my whole life? Would I have liked to be in shape my whole life? Would I have liked to not have to struggle with food issues and being obese? But I think we are, and not to get kind of like woo woo here, but I think we are who we are in the course of our life because, we have things we have to do. And I mean, and I've said over the course of my life, I have done things and that hindsight being 2020, I was doing the right thing, but didn't know it. Like there's been times in my life where I've intermittent fasted and ate and lost weight and ate and still was able to kind of eat what I wanted necessarily, but I was still eating a very limited, kind of a limited diet, a very cheap diet. I was in my 20s, so it was obviously very cheap. But you get the idea. Oh yeah, that's right. Chris is in Atlanta now. He used to be in Florida. Because when I met Chris at KPL 2023, and he was living in Florida at the time. Now he is living in Hotlanta. Yes, Hotlanta. Known for Outcast and Mastodon. Yes, yes, indeed. Sean is in Brunswick. I don't know how far those are apart. Brian says, he says that I stopped smoking before I started the keto, but then I started taking Ozempic and just took my second shot Thursday. Okay, so good luck on that. I hope that you don't see any of the adverse side effects, or I hope you don't have the, I hope you are not having the nausea and all the things that I know that kind of come with that, or hopefully they're kind of getting things like that in order, so a lot more people aren't seeing those and things. Because I just wish you the best, my friend. And I understand that we all have our own paths, and I want you to find success by any means necessary. Aaron is saying, good morning, Brian. I'm making coffee. Coffee is delicious. I really need to start making a backup coffee just in case. Not that I need to, but there are some mornings where like I'm sitting here talking with you guys and I'm like, I wish I had more coffee. I did bring another beverage here. I got a pink cup with beverage in it. Delicious beverage, ice cold. Ice cold. And Sean is saying that he enjoyed Aaron's story the other night, having 10 kids. Today is remarkable. Oh, I could not. We have a granddaughter a few hours a day now, and we send her home, and it's like, oh, I could not imagine. I see. I didn't have my own kids. I mean, it's no secret, but Shannon and I got together in 2011, and she had 3 kids. We still have 3 kids, and we decided to not have any kids together, just for the simple fact that her kids were, when we got together, they were 8, 12, and like 14, 13, 14, something like that. And by the time we got to the point where we were together and together enough to where we were making a decision on whether or not we should have children, we were kinda coming into the spot where we were in our mid-30s. Kids were, our youngest at that point was over 11 or 12, maybe he was going on 13, and a little earlier than that, but we were like, we didn't wanna have an infant then. And, I mean, realistically, then 2018, we had a granddaughter, and so that kinda gave us the ability to kind of, satisfy that newborn infant and kinda give me the experience as well because I had never really been around. I mean, I'd been around kids and friends that had kids, but, you're not with them on a daily basis like you are, like, when because at the time, they lived with us, so we saw her every day all the time, and so she was just basically, in our lives nonstop, 24 hours a day. So, I mean, that kinda gives you the ability to be and interact and so, I'm glad that we made the decision that we did now because now here we are 45, we'll be 46 soon, and we're basically empty nesters with the fact that we got a couple of boys living in our room over there. But they do their own thing. They're adults. They're more like roommates than they are kids. I mean, we obviously they're our kids, but you understand we don't have to boss them around and we're not on them to do homework and they go to work and come home and they do their laundry and they do whatever they got to do. And I just give them things. I'm like, hey, I need you guys to do that, or could you take care of this for me? I'm going to be leaving the house for a couple hours. I need this done, and or mow the grass or whatever. And they take care of what I ask them to do. And so, I mean, it's not bad. Cindy is in the house. Good morning, Cindy. I'm glad you are here. How is Brian? People saying hello to everybody. Evelyn says, I made a meat lasagna yesterday for a potluck. I didn't tell anyone it was keto. I just dropped it off. In less than 2 hours, they ate all but one piece. I love making the meatloaf with egg life wraps. Not meatloaf. Did I say meatloaf? I'm thinking of Victor. Victor had a meatloaf video the other day. I'm thinking lasagna with I like it with a lot of the meat. Um, and It's pretty good stuff. I like it with ricotta. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Chris says that he quit smoking after 14 years, 8 years ago, and I quit drinking alcohol 3 years ago. Fantastic. I love that. And I mean, I quit drinking alcohol for the most part. We will still have a drink or two here or there, depending on whether it's a celebration or something really bad happens. I mean, we've got alcohol in the house. Where there's always something in the house, but I don't even know. Like, I can't. It's just out of sight, out of mind. We don't drink hardly. I mean, we just don't. Um, it's not a normal part of our life, and it has never really been. I mean, it was normal when I was going out to the clubs, going out to bars, and trying to meet people or meet girls or whatever. It was a normal part of my life then because it was kind of what was expected, but not something that I would say it was never really the alcohol itself was never really the primary focus. Yeah, Brian's asking, when are you gonna tell them it was keto? Or did you tell them that it was keto? Evelyn says, I'm not telling them. Talk to you in Phoenix. Phoenix. Jerry's in the house. Good morning, Dustin and all of the Sunday morning gang. It is great to be here. I'm glad you are here. I'm glad that you are here so very much. Jerry's awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Evelyn says, "We are the culmination of our struggles and victories. The things we go through shape us into who we become." 1000%. I don't think I could have said it better myself. Let's see. Jerry said she got 5 hours and 21 minutes of sleep last night. Better, but I'm an impatient kind of gal. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope you feel better. I'm glad you're at least getting some sleep. Yeah, is what says that Cindy says 5 hours is better than 3 hours. Rick from Twin Brook Acres is in the house. Hey, y'all. Can't stay. I'm in the hospital. They need to run tests for possible gallstone surgery tomorrow if I have stones. Well, good luck, Rick, and I hope you feel better, my friend. Yeah, we're keeping our thoughts with you, my friend. I hope you feel better. Jerry says, I'm here, set for this live with a 16-ounce bold coffee and a beam glow up. Let's go. Sherry's in the house. Good morning, all. Woke up early. The sun is just coming up. I'm still in bed. Sounds fantastic listening to Got Caught Up at Warp Speed. Yeah. Jerry's saying to Rick that her hubby Jack had emergency gall surgery last month. That sounds awful. Naomi Jones is in the house. Good morning, Naomi. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Have you been and I know and I always hate to ask, have you been here with us before? Because I don't know if I try to keep track of everybody who comes in, but sometimes people come in infrequently and it is difficult for me to remember. But thank you for joining us. I'm proud to have you here and I hope you stick around with us for a little while. Good luck, Rick. Sean said, I had a couple of beers for the party on Thursday. I also had a donut on Thursday. There was a tradition at work where the person leaving had to bring in donuts. Ugh. I remember all the donuts, and I've never been a huge, weirdly as it is, like 400 plus pound guy not being a donut fan, but I just felt they were just messy and like sticky and just, oh, they get caught in my, like, especially like the glazed donuts, the glazing falls off and just gets stuck in my beard. Oh, it's irritating. Not a fan. Jerry says the gallbladder should be the size of a man's thumb, but it was the size of the surgeon's fist. Whoa, that's crazy. Naomi is saying good morning to people. Sean says that's how mine was when they removed it. Oh my goodness. Bride's biscuits in the house, hooking up the caffeine IV. Sup, fam? Mean wife news. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So coffee, I love it. She says I stopped buying the husband the Quick Trip donuts. I think we've got some Quick Trips in here. I think they're going to be opening a Quick Trip or a racetrack or something. I don't know. They're doing a lot of stuff in our town, and they're opening up. Like we're getting a Wawa. They're in the process of opening that up, and I know we're going to be getting a new Meyer close by to us. It's going to be like just a few blocks from my house. So there's going to be a new Meyer, uh, which won't be bad because like Walmart closes at 10 or 11. Kroger closes at like 10. And then like Meyer, I think at least the Myers that we have, they they were like one of the first ones that were 24 hours a day. Like Meyer was like one of the first 24-hour grocery stores that I remember because that was before like super Walmarts. Because I remember Walmart was just a place we would go to look at stuff, like clothes and stuff. They didn't have groceries. I mean, they'd have some like food stuff, but not groceries. So I remember like the first Walmart was in like the mid 80s in our area. Like we had to drive 30, 40, like it was like 30 minutes to get there. And I remember it was so far away. I was like, oh, we're going to Walmart. Oh, well, it's for, of course, as a kid, 2 miles on the road takes forever. But then, like, we got like just a few blocks down the road, we got a Meyer. And we're like, what's this Meager place gonna be? What's Meager? And then, like, it was like they started like laying the foundation and pouring the concrete. We're like, it was the biggest thing we'd ever seen. Like, it was like just monstrous. Had a video store, you could rent videos, and they had like the film developing. You could buy film and turn your film in, all the things that all the grocery stores used to have. Yeah, you know, well, yeah. So I'm lucky to hopefully have a new place to go in the middle. Like, 'cause I miss just having that. Like, it's 3 a.m. What can I do? Nothing. But you know what I mean. Like, at least I know they won't be open at 3. But I mean, just like having a place that's maybe open till midnight if I have to make a late night run for something, because you're like, it's always forgetting stuff. DJ Play Nice is in the house. Rock on, yeah. Want to rock. Naomi says, yes, I have. Well, fantastic. I'm glad you're back. Not always in the comments when I come in. Okay. Always say hello. Always say hello. I love it whenever, because if you come in and listen and I don't know you're here, then, because I see how many people are interacting, are in here. Because I stream to 3 different places. I stream here to X and to Rumble, just because it kind of gets like those are some of the best places to send things out. I don't get a lot of interaction or engagement yet with Rumble, but I just started doing it a couple of weeks ago, and I don't really put any real effort into it. It's just a place you can stream to, because I know Dr. Barry's over there, and there's a couple other people that have gone over there. So I figured, might as well at least see how it goes, because I was getting zero interaction on Facebook. So, and Facebook started to delete your stuff after 30 days, so that didn't make a lot of sense. Bride's Biscuit says that McDonald's has been selling Krispy Kreme donuts for a while. Our society, I don't necessarily agree with this. So I see that McDonald's is selling Krispy Kreme for a while, and that I don't believe our society is doomed. Our society is doing exactly what we've been conditioned to do. But we have to understand that the deconditioning, or I hate to say reprogramming, because that sounds malicious, it sounds malevolent, but it takes time. That's like I've tried to get I'm excited that companies like Steak and Shake and other places are starting to toss out the seed oils and reintroduce beef tallow and such, even though it doesn't necessarily impact me directly, because I'm not going to Steak and Shake, because what do they fry in their beef tallow? French fries. I'm not interested in French fries. Now, my first job was Steak and Shake, and I ate their fries all the time. Their fries are very thin, and they heat quickly, but then they also get cold quickly, so they're not the best fries, in my personal opinion. I mean, they're not cooking anything in that beef tallow that I necessarily care to eat currently. I don't necessarily know how that's going to impact us in the long run. I'm glad that companies and the discussion is open about beef tallow. I'm The discussion is going. We're starting to understand, the healing properties of meat and eating a whole food diet without ultra processed foods. We're starting to understand things where how what we eat impacts how we feel physically, mentally, and all of these things. We're starting to see that, but it's going to take so much time, because we have to remember they didn't really start us on this path until, like, the path started in the 40s. 1947 is when Procter and Gamble gave the 1.7 million dollar donation to the American Heart Association, and then they started recommending Crisco instead of lard and tallow. So it started in the 1940s. So it's not been a full 100 years, but the guidelines didn't change full on until the 80s. And then you saw in the 80s, the 90s, and you have to even understand, like, when I go back and watch old shows or watch anything, the low fat diet, like everything being low fat, low calorie, low cholesterol, is so entrenched in pop culture that it's going to take decades for us to dig ourselves out of the hole that we've been digging ourselves into for decades. I don't think we're doomed. Not by a I mean, I would have think that in the 50 or the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, when in the 80s we're eating snack wells because they were fat free, but they'd been loading them with sugar, but we didn't know. Things like Olean. Remember Olean? It was they were frying chips in Olean and causing leakage, trying to be, you know, sanitized for the internet. But I don't think we're doomed. I'm a little too positive for that. I've been accused of having toxic positivity, so I mean there's that. But I just refuse to feel like the sky is falling, that everything is on fire, because we have to keep going no matter what. So I mean, because of days like today, like Sunday, we get together and there's 52 people across 3 platforms listening to what I have to say right now. Maybe that'll grow. Maybe every time somebody hears something about tallow and beef and eggs and triple B&E and the proper human diet and carnivore, maybe somebody who truly needs it will start the lion diet because they have severe autoimmune, and then people in their life will see them heal and go, okay, well, maybe this isn't something crazy after all. But I don't think we're doomed just because of donuts. We've always had donuts. We've always had pie. We've always had every diner and every restaurant, since there's been restaurants and diners, has always sold dessert. I think we're weird right now because we've got, let's see, what is Taco Bell sells chicken nuggets now. Like, why are you selling chicken nuggets? I'm sure there's some reason for that. And McDonald's is selling Krispy Kreme donuts, and they've got new chicken tenders, and I know all about this stuff because we go and we get our granddaughter a Happy Meal once a week. And is that the best thing for her? No, but you know I had Happy Meals when I was growing up. I mean, I'm sure that they're healthier then than they are now, but you know well, yeah, I don't think we're doomed. Jerry says, since my surgery he bought his own and got to run to the restroom. Meanwife said, I told you so. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, I read it, but didn't put it on the screen. My apologies. Evelyn saying hello to DJ Play Nice. I'm glad that you guys are speaking and getting to know each other, getting to know all about you. Sean says, Jerry, that's one of those things they just have to learn on their own. Like when I see somebody like, I found these new things at the store. I found sugar-free Hershey's, or I found Albanese sugar-free gummy bears, or Russell Stover sugar-free chocolates. I'm like, hey, you're gonna learn today. But then, there was a creator that would post those that she loved them, and I'm like, well, that's disaster pants. And she like deleted my comment. I'm like, why would you delete that? Because the majority of people are not going to have a good experience with that. I don't understand why people keep buying those things. Because yeah, I've had they taste really good. They taste somehow they've made it taste like the real stuff. They don't taste sugar free. but you still have the consequences. Crazy consequences. Carl's in the house. Good morning, Carl, my friend. I am so glad to see you. I'm glad that you are here, my friend. Carl says, fun fact, Meyer helped develop the UPC symbol with NC. It was the only time that Ohio and Michigan got along. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because Meyer is a Michigan-based. Not sure what NC is, but maybe you'll tell me what that means. I don't know what that means. Sean says, whenever I used to get a dessert after eating at a restaurant, I had to be home within 30 minutes or was going to get really messy. Delicious. There we go. There's some rumble up. Ooh. There we go. So they do. So I can get the comments. Okay. I was wondering if that was going to come through or not. Yeah, because I had to go and do the stream key and all that stuff. So now at least I know the comments will come through. Twitter comments don't always. I don't know. I never get anybody interacting with Twitter. I had like 17 people watching or allegedly watching over on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, but I never see any interaction. So sometimes I think on mobile it might be difficult to have it come through. But if you're over there, say hello. Tell us where you're from. What did you win this week? Did you win? What wins did you have this week? I want to know the good stuff or the bad stuff if you just need to get it off your chest. We're always here for all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. My friend Amy is here. She says, good morning, everyone. Still waking up. The best part of waking up is lots of coffee in your cup. Oh. Mm. Disaster pants. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yeah, Lester was the fad du jour for a hot minute, sending folks to the toilet. Yeah, 100%. And then I remember back to like eating like the Snackwell chocolate, like the devil's food cookies. They weren't very good, but we ate them. And I remember my grandma was cooking dinner, and she was making rice-a-roni, which rice-a-roni is delicious. I don't care who you are, it's delicious. I always loved rice-a-roni. It was one of my favorite things, like one of my favorite side dishes. I liked it better than like okay, so to be fair, my mom and grandma were not well versed in how to cook meat. They would cook everything to like some kind of dry, just sad thing. I'm not trying to talk bad about my mom and my grandma, but they were just so afraid of meat, afraid of like never like if I had a rare steak, they were like, send it back. Oh, send it back. It's not done enough. I'm like, wait, you're telling me that meat has juice? Meat can be tender and juicy and not like the charcoal briquette you're cooking it with? What? Yeah. And I mean, because I remember my mom would grill out and like the burgers would start like this big, like that thick, and then they would turn out to be like this big and like that thick. I'm like, what did you do? It's like she figured out how to turn ground beef into charcoal. It was just, and then so rice-a-roni, because the meat that they would cook was never very good. And like I said, I don't mean to talk bad about them, but they just would overcook it all the time. So we'd have the rice-a-roni. So I'd eat bowls and bowls and bowls of rice-a-roni because the meat was not good. You know, I don't think they still make Snackwell cookies. Let me see. Do they still make them? Let's see. Snackwell cookies, including the popular Devil's Food variety, were discontinued in 2022. The entire Snackwell's brand was retired in 2022. Okay, so we know Snackwell's. I guess you can still buy them at certain places for like Snackwell. I guess there's another kind of Snackwell thing. You can like DoorDash them. So I mean, I guess it's been 3 years, but I don't know. Good to know. Good to know. Carl says, I am such an addict. We went to a grad party, and the brother of the graduate made 12 dozen amazing looking cookies for the event. 12 dozen. So 144 cookies. I almost broke down, and then for 2 days, I have had to chant eat meat. So you almost broke down. So you almost ate some cookies. Like, okay, so I'm just curious. It's a question. Is it better? Excuse me. Have a drink here. Is it better to totally abstain? Now, this is personal preference or personal decisions. And if you are an abstainer, what are the parameters for you, if any, to allow yourself something? Like if you're out and about and you see like they have something and you're like, oh, I want that. Because my way of looking at it is if I completely abstain from things that I like or things that I have liked in the past that I know that are not good for me, I have to look at it like, am I ever going to have that again? And if I have that outlook that no, I'm never having that again, I'm more likely to succumb. So if I have the outlook that I can have whatever I want whenever I want, and sometimes put my money where my mouth is, have a bite, have one or whatever sometimes. You know what I mean? Like we always have a rule, try not to bring leftovers home unless they're chicken wings. But what's your rule? What do you do? Like if you are an abstainer, do you ever give in, and what are the parameters for you to give in? Because one of the stories that's relevant for me the last couple of years was Doritos made a hot mustard flavor, and I saw it, and I was like, man, I want to try that, and I wanted to, but I kept looking at the snags, kept saying no, kept saying no, kept saying no. Whenever I was in a gas station or in a grocery store, I would see them, and I'm like, oh, because they were like in front everywhere. They were like always up front, right out in your face. So it wasn't like you had to go to the chip aisle to find them. And you know how gas stations are. If you're running in to grab a drink or something, you walk around like at least most gas stations now, like they have like the coolers that are giant. So like all the stuff butts up against where the coolers are. So if you're going through trying to find a beverage, you're still inundated with all the other snacks. So it was almost impossible for me not to see those. And I abstained and I said no and I said no, and then I stopped seeing them. And it was like such an abrupt change. And I noticed that I wasn't seeing them. So we ended up being in Wisconsin visiting the in-laws, and I found a big bag, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to miss out. So I bought a big bag where I should have given in and had a small bag like a month earlier. So it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of a double edged sword because you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because like I didn't want to miss something, and I was like, you can never just buy a chip, like that. So I mean, you can't just buy a chip, and I didn't know anybody who had a bag, so I could just try a chip. So you have to like buy one. And you're not going to buy one, eat one chip and throw it away because that's silly. But anyway, I digress. Brian says, Dustin, my grandfather was a baker, and I can tell you that it didn't really make it into the mainstream smaller businesses until the middle to late 60s. Yeah, like the Crisco, and they really focused in on the homemaker, the wife. Because I have seen like advertisements from that time frame where they were saying things like, you know, it's cleaner. Your house will be cleaner. You're dealing with, dealing with something, let's see, something with, from the lab or whatever. Let's see if I can find some let's see. See if I can find something here. So here's one. It says Crisco shortening first marketed in 1911. Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen with this one because this is kind of interesting and I'll read along so you guys can see. I'll share my screen so it's not like I'm just sitting here reading this and you guys are like, "What's going on?" All right. So here's my screen. We're sharing it. All right. So it says Crisco shortening first marketed in 1911. Crisco was neither a butter, a compound, nor a substitute, but an entirely new product, a primary fat. Today, you can buy this rich, wholesome cream of nutritious food oils in sanitary tins. The Crisco process alone can produce this creamy white fat no one else can manufacture. No one else can manufacture Crisco because no one else holds the secret of Crisco and because they would have no legal right to make it. Crisco is Crisco and nothing else. So Crisco is absolutely all vegetable, no stearine animal or vegetable wait. So Crisco is all absolutely all vegetable, no stearine animal or vegetable is added. That doesn't even make any sense. It processes no taste or odor, save the delightful and characteristic aroma which identifies Crisco and is suggestive of its purity. And you can see the ads, and here's some more. Make food more palatable. Make more palatable foods. Let's see if we can get down here. There's more fried foods, healthful as well as delicious. Let's see. Here's one. Can you eat biscuits? Yes, and I'll read it because I'm sure you can't see that. But it says, yes, you can, and they're yes, you can. They are made from Crisco, the wholesome, digestible cooking fat. When digestible is one of your selling points, Crisco is wholesome and digestible because it is strictly a vegetable product and pure, creamy white cooking fat made by the special Crisco process of solidifying high grade vegetable oil. It is rich, nutritious, tasteless, odorless, and does not turn rancid. It is an easy to digest as fresh garden vegetables. There is nothing else like it. Use Crisco for all your cooking, pantry making, cake baking, and frying. It gives you the utmost quality and richness for every bake or every cooking purpose. Yes, it is as economical as any cooking fat you can use. This is insanity. Why Crisco is more desirable? Why? Oh, here's a perfect example. This is from Desirable Cooking Fat, May 1920. Advertisement Forecast magazine in 1920. It says, trust me, this is very small print. So it says because it makes such tender, flaky pastry, because it makes cakes which taste as if made with butter, but at much less cost, because fries without waste, Crisco makes tender. Yeah, it's just crazy why it's more desirable. Can you eat fried foods? What happens when you serve pie? Will Crisco improve your cooking? Because Crisco was 100% rich, a solid white cream produced by hardening edible vegetable oil. This richness accounts for tender flakiness of Crisco pastries and biscuits and the butter-like quality of Crisco cakes. This is craziness. How home kitchens can answer one school problem. Crisco shorting advertisement, Woman's Home Companion magazine, September 1923. Oh my goodness. I know my mom used to use, oh, look, there's some keto chow. There's a keto chow advertisement right there on the bottom. If you like your keto chow, head on over to KetoSimple.shop and order some today. Save 10% and help the channel. But yeah, that's just insanity to think that that is one of those things in history. Jerry said, Sunday is fun day with you all. However, being and hearing from you on my YouTube videos and your loving, supporting messages makes the struggle easier. Thank you for being there for, yeah, I love it. Messages and interactions on the channels and videos. Like I put out a video or a short like yesterday that I was hoping would do better, but I only had like 100 views this morning. For a short, that's like nothing. Because shorts, I mean, you don't even make any money unless you make like a million views. I've got shorts that I've got thousands and thousands of views and I made like 80 cents. Amy says, had dinner with a good friend last night. He lost 100 pounds on keto because of me, but someone told him eating fat is dangerous and he gained it all back. Oh my goodness. See, that's the thing is like eating fat is bad. You've lost all this weight eating food and it's bad. I don't know. It's never understood that. Sean says, it freaked me out the first time I went to a Taco Bell and they sold fries. I was like, I was like, French fries, tacos. I went to a Del Taco in California like 2006, and I had a cheeseburger. So a cheeseburger and French fries. I remember it was a really good. It was a really good cheeseburger and really good French fries. I was really into that. Disaster pants, do. Yes. Rise Biscuit says, "Let's see where sugar fasting gets us. This trend should be interesting." I am intrigued by it. I want to see how. I'm not going to do it. That's a very dangerous proposition for me if I'm like I could. Oh, it would be bad. It would be so bad because I'd be like, "What did you have for dinner?" I had Sour Patch Kids. It'd be so bad. I've bought the big bags of Sour Patch Kids before and just sitting. It's not good. I mean, and I understand if you're trying it out and you have a reason behind it, I totally understand that. And I'm never trying to discourage people from doing things because we are open here and we are not here to judge people. The only thing I can do is judge something for how it would impact me. And I know that if I said I'm going to eat 600 grams of carbohydrates a day, primarily sugar, that's ridiculous for me. For me, I oh, it would be so bad. Oh, it would be so bad. And I know I would be miserable. I know the heartburn would come back. And oh my goodness gracious. But I'm fascinated. Yes, do tell. Jerry says, oh, Amy, is your friend sorry they went back to the sad diet? Yeah, do tell. My goodness, I can't talk. Yeah, Sean wants to know the same thing. Hey, I mean, that's awesome. I still have hope that one day one of my family or friends will start keto. There are many sick people that could benefit. Yeah, I've lost people along the way to type 1 diabetes, and you can only do so much. You can't force somebody's hand. You just can be an advocate for them. You can be an example for them. But at the end of the day, like, you just can't. You just have to be there. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to be there for them the best you can. Okay, so the NC is National Cash Register Company. Okay, all right. They're out of Dayton, Ohio. Okay, sweet. All right. Oh, look at that. Jerry says, Cindy, I love you like a sister. Cindy's like my second mom, like my surrogate mom, and I've got Stacy and Ken. Well, they are at Meatstock. They're kind of like my grandparents a little bit. I mean, they're there. She's like my grandma because my side of the family is basically just me and my brother, and I have an aunt and uncle and some cousins. I mean, but really outside that, I have I have a couple of sisters uh, that live in Texas. I have a sister that lives here, but we don't really see each other all that often. Yeah, everybody wants to know a little bit more. I did, I did send in the A team to clean up the mess. When you have nowhere else to turn, turn to the A team. I love that show. It was so good. Yeah, we want to know more, Amy. Spill the beans. Sean said, Amy, that's one of those cases where they will see you being healthy and thriving and they will know it's not bad for you. They'll know how to do it. They just have to do it again. Yeah. Donna's in the house. So, hi, everyone. I'm going to listen, not chat, but wanted to say hi. Well, thank you for being here, Donna. I appreciate you. And everyone's saying hello. Sending love from everyone. Let me know if you get a Twitch. I'm always a little Twitch. See, Rick knows the commercials. Amy says, I had 2 sugar-free desserts at the casino buffet last night. Usually they don't bother me, but I had a horrible headache this morning. Sure ate something that caused it. Yeah, probably. You just never quite know. So that's the thing is like Rick is an anomaly because he doesn't understand because he's since he's 15, he's eating carnivore diet. But like as somebody, you know, that's grown up with all this food, it's addictive, it's delicious. They designed it to be delicious. So it's not a mystery why people love that stuff. With Snackwells, I took the fat out and just loaded it down with sugar. So, corn, chips and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And he's like, I always hated chips. I don't understood that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Carl says, I eat a dozen at a time. One is not an option. I eat for the sugar buzz, not for the flavor. And I know that if I eat one, I'll eat a bunch for days in a row. Sugar binge. Yeah. I mean, you just have to understand and know who you are. Frito Bandito, please take mine. Brian says, if you are a carb addict, you stay away. Just like alcoholics or former smokes, addiction is addiction. I get this and I understand. But food is one of those things you can't live without food. And food is one of those things that's everywhere. And I don't necessarily think that and maybe this will change and my outlook will change over time, but and it has changed. I have to keep a healthy outlook on food. Healthy for me, that is, because I know myself, and if I set a limit that I'm never going to eat anything like that again, it's just going to be bad for me. I can hear dogs. There's like a dog whining out back or out like in the because we have a giant common area back behind my screen. It's like there's a window there, and that's the back wall there, and there's a gigantic common area that's like a couple of football fields sized, and there's dogs out there whining, and I don't know, they probably went in or something. But I just see like for me to keep control, I can't necessarily abstain and I can't moderate. I have to find the happy medium because I have to not want it. And most of the time I'm fine. And I can go grocery shopping and things don't bother me because even there's been times where I have gone out intentionally looking to buy something or to get something for whatever reason. Something I was like, I just want something bad for me. I want something that's not good for me. And I've intentionally gone out to buy things. And like I've walked around the grocery store for like 30 minutes and couldn't figure out what I wanted. And I like that because it lets me know that I have so much more control over my food than I ever used to. So it's not candy, it's not cookies generally. Sometimes I'll want some pie or something, but there's always like you want like I have these times where I want something, and it's usually like later at night, and I'll want something, but there's nothing in the house that I've purchased that I will want. Now there are things in the house that the kids have purchased and brought to the house, but it's theirs, and I typically abstain from that. But Cindy's talking to Amy. Those sugar free desserts or restaurants are not like we can make probably hidden sugars and them sugar free chocolates you can buy in the store. Yeah. Karen is here. Karen Harrington. Oh, my mom was a big fan of the Snackwell Devil's Food cookies. I loved rice roni too. Yeah. But I'm not gone about rice roni. I mean, I've had some mac and cheese. Like I was good at sometimes you just pick up a box of macaroni and cheese or whatever. Donna says, I'm an abstainer and my idea of giving in is to order the raspberry Danish from Keto Upgrade Bakery. I ate 3 of them. And I also had cranberry and 3 scones, 1 per day of each of them I didn't test. Okay. I've not ordered from her bakery before. I'd like to. Her pizza crusts look good. Evelyn says, I'm gonna make keto brick cookies for Carl today. His resolve to not eat them also helped me. Well, that's fantastic. I love that. Trying to scroll through here with my mouse. I put a new battery in my mouse too. Donna says that I have a few of some of their very first release cookbooks and some of the advertising. I love the old stuff. I love because it's crazy to see how they like it's edible or it's digestible. Like that's just insanity. It's digestible. Well, I'd hope so. Like what are they? I mean, were they trying to say that like that lard and tallow wasn't digestible? I don't understand. Jerry wants to know more about your keto brick cookies. Inquiring minds want to know. Cindy loved the Snackwell cookies. And Amy says, Cindy, I know they probably had some aspartame and carbs, but I do it once a year. Yeah. People saying good morning to each other. Doesn't turn rancid, but what happens when you heat it and it oxidizes? Good Lord. Yes. They didn't mention that, but 90% of garden vegetables aren't really digested. Oh, which vegetables are fatty? Corn, and corn is not a vegetable, it's a grain. Well, they're not even using corn. They're like that's made of like if they were using rapeseed and canola. Let's see can we even find out what was in that? Like what they let's see. Let's see. Original Crisco shortening was made primarily of hydrogenated cottonseed oil. So, cottonseed back then. The process involved turning liquid cottonseed into a solid resembling lard, though the addition of hydrogen, according to NPR, Crisco was the first shortening made entirely from vegetable oil, which cottonseed isn't even a vegetable. So that the fact that they're calling it vegetable oil in of itself and it's made from cottonseed, and cottonseed isn't a vegetable. So it's like marketing 101. How do we take something that we're not using, cotton seeds, and make it into something that people will eat and make us billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, crazy amounts of money. And Brian said that, Dustin, that was the beginning of ruining the soil by farmers to produce more food. They started using glyphosate and fertilizers and a bit. Yeah. And they're not doing like, they're not doing like yeah, they're just not cooking the best way. Yeah. It's all for profit driven. Donna, oh my goodness, Donna. $20 super chat. Thank you so very much, Donna. I truly, truly appreciate you. She says, I have a lot of those vintage cookbooks and adverts. Hindsight is truly 2020. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. I truly appreciate it. And we like this. There's a gentleman on YouTube and TikTok and all that. His name is Dylan Hollis. And he goes in and cooks all these old recipes. Not all of them are good. I mean, none of them, I don't think any of them are really keto or even keto friendly. They're all desserts, most likely, or mostly desserts and cakes and pies, are weird things that they would make with Jello when Jello first came out, like stuff with tuna fish and stuff. It was like ridiculous. But he's got two cookbooks. We've got his first cookbook. Again, it's nothing we can really make, but we just want to support him. But he's a fun guy, and he's funny, and we watch his shorts. We'll let him build up and watch a few of them. Well, I love his old recipes and stuff, and like how they're like, um, and how they wouldn't put the temperature of the oven. They would have to they'd call it something, put it into a moderate oven, which meant like 350 or whatever. But thank you so much, Don. I appreciate you so very much. Brian says the next thing that came along was big business, insurance company, big pharma, and food industries. Well, the thing is like insurance has been around a long time. Like I worked for a company that had started as an insurance company. Now it wasn't a health insurance, but it was property liability, um, property and casualty insurance that started in 1810. So insurance companies have been around for a long time. Not necessarily. I don't know. I don't know when health insurance started being around. Health insurance, fire insurance, and fire insurance was a big thing because for forever and ever and ever, everything was made of wood. So wood burns. So yeah. Cindy says Jerry sent me a keto brick and said to use it for something she made. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much yeah, Evelyn's right. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate that very much. Donna, I truly, truly appreciate you. Sherry says, I would never do it, but I don't think the fast is candy. Sugar fast has incorporated more fruit, which is full of natural sugar, is still not good. I thought it was supposed to be candy. The way it was explained to me was candy. So I'll have to go back and look and see if I can find something. Let me see here. Let me see. Let's see if this will give me information here. I'll have to watch some videos because I'm not getting any information. like sugar diet. I'm starting to look up like sugar diet guidelines and stuff here, and I'm not finding anything. It's just like it's saying that it's not what because like the way that because I know Joe over on Two Crazy Ketos the other night was talking about that it is like candy and stuff. So I don't really know because I don't think could you eat 600 grams of sugar from like fruit? I can do it with pizza. I can knock out a pizza and be good to go. Couple boxes of mac and cheese, done. Sonny, my dear, thank you so very much. She donated 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Sonny. I appreciate you. Jeffrey Cox, Duck Duck Go Fast, Sandy Blythe, DJ Play Nice, and Sherry on a low carb journey. All gifted memberships from Sunday Chronicles. Thank you so much, dear. I truly, truly appreciate you. And she says, "Good morning, Dustin. I hope you're out and about and safe today. You were live for like 7 hours yesterday. I need to know how are your watch hours with that? I'm curious to know." Bride's Biscuit said, "That's true. Sugar fasting would be never shame anyone for their choice. If you're a moderator and your goal is short-term weight loss, yeah, and have at it. Yeah, I just think for me it would be such a slippery slope." Amy says, "I told him I would do one-on-one sessions with him if he wanted to start up again." Yeah, give him our information. Have him come hang out with us. We'll be a support group. That's what we're here for. The more the merrier. Because you have a channel, so many amazing channels out there, Dr. Barry, everybody with plenty of great information. Lisa Ortega is in the house. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Lisa. That's what she says. I love it. Carl says, Crisco, the name is a, let's see, portmanteau. I think, I don't know. Portmanteau. Crystallized cottonseed oil. Cottonseed, not a vegetable. Cotton is a textile fiber, and the seeds were discarded. They found a market for them. Procter and Gamble. Ooh. Well, I mean, and they were utilizing that. I think even for the war, they were utilizing that stuff for the war because they came out like this is even when they came out with this is even before World War I, because I don't think World War I even kicked off till 1917, if I'm not mistaken. To look that up, I can probably wrong. I'm wrong about a lot. Let's see. When did World War I start? 1914 to 1918. Okay. So World War I had not yet started. It was just a few years away. So I know World War II, there was a lot of synthetic vegetable oils that were not hydrogenated, so they weren't solids. That's where we get all of the all of the heart healthy ubiquitous vegetable oils that we have now. So yeah, Sherry says thank you for the gift. Yes, let's see. Yeah, I kind of wondered that too, Rick or Sean. Rick, is that I was always wondering if Duck Duck Go Fast was your alter ego. Yeah, so the thing is like fruits these days, like we have even people, and I've asked questions before, and people don't typically answer them when they're promoting, eat fruit, it's a healthy sugar. But realistically, you could have probably eaten a bushel of apples 200 years ago that would equal probably 5 or 6 apples now in the sugar content. And we can even look that up. Like, how has over time, the sugar content in apples has generally increased due to selective breeding practices. This has led to a trend of sweeter apples, with some varieties being notably sweeter than others, while some older apple varieties like Granny Smith are known for being less sweet. Modern varieties like Honeycrisp have gained popularity due to their high sugar content. So, the elaboration of this is selective breeding. Plant breeders have focused on selecting and breeding apple varieties with higher sugar levels, resulting in sweeter fruits over generations. Varietal differences, even within apple family, there's a wide range of sugar content. Some varieties like Granny Smith are known for their tartness, while others, like Honeycrisp, are exceptionally sweet. Yep, yep, yep. Sugar content and storage. Studies have shown that total sugar content in apple samples can increase during storage, ranging from 9.67 to 12.47%. Genetic influence. The sugar content in apples is genetically determined, with different varieties having da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah. Impact on environment factors like nutrition, temperature. Environmental conditions also influence the sugar content of sweetness of apples. Quora is, at least, let's see, fruit. How much more sugar is there in modern apple than before there were industrialization? What is the health impact? About 20 years ago, I was with Research Institute in Europe. They looked into this issue. What we found out that there is more sugar and more flavor in fresh picked fruit. And by the time an apple has been stored for up to 8 months, it reaches the store. Much of its sugar has broken down into starches. Our body can convert those starches right back into sugar, although not with perfect efficiency. I wouldn't worry about the sugar content of one apple per day. The problem, I'd say, is apple pie, not apple. And I would simply eat one piece of the best fruit I can find. The other chemicals in apples offset the tiny amount of extra sugar in an heirloom variety eaten soon after harvest. I don't know. That just seems a little like kind of like a kind of circular thinking there. Like someone says zero. First place, and apples are not produced industrially. They are an agricultural product. Oh, industrialization intervenes in collection and distribution of apples, but it does not but does so by creating incredibly long distribution chains that ensure very few fresh apples reach our markets. Da, 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 But I mean, we're talking here about the idea that at 100 grams of apples, it contains 10 grams of sugar. Apples have minor impact on blood sugar levels. I'm not believing that. Somebody says that they'd expect them to have less sugar now. This is just an observation on bananas bought in stores that I ate in rural areas, ancient strains in Indonesia that were much sweeter than in the rural areas. I don't know. I think yeah. So I think there's just people the way people look at this stuff is so different. Yeah. Cindy says all the negativity about the sugar diet and the hyperketosis diet, isn't this all about finding what works best for us regardless of how that is? I agree. The negativity that I would have, or the worry that I have, is the disingenuous nature of some of these diet claims by creators or influencers, content creator influencers. They will come out and say, "Oh, this is working for me. This is working for me," and put the content out there. And somebody who isn't as well versed, maybe, in what they need to do, or might not work for them, is going to take, kind of fall for it hook, line, and sinker. But I do attribute it, and I do kind of look at it the same way we would look at. Think about how a vegan looks at the carnivore diet. A vegan looks at the carnivore diet and goes, "Oh my goodness, that's death on a plate." The same way we would look at the sugar diet and go, "Oh my goodness, that's death on a plate." But it's all a matter of perspective. I'm not trying to be negative to the people who read about the influencers, creators, and the origins of said diet, putting it out there as if it is, in fact, a viable option for someone truly trying to transform their life. So I don't necessarily think that trying the diet is the problem. I think the people trying to sell it to people in a disingenuous manner is more the issue. So that's the same thing that I have when it comes to somebody who says, you have to do the lion diet or you're never going to be healthy, or you have to only eat carnivore or you're never going to be healthy, or if you don't eat keto, you're not going to, how dare you not be paleo? How dare you not be vegan? That's the same way I look at the sugar diet is is it going to benefit some? Maybe. It's so new, I don't know. But I worry that this is just a well, keto's kind of fallen off. Carnivore's still kind of popular, but how can I make a content that'll grab the attention of people doing keto and carnivore and make them go, well, let me maybe try that a little bit because they're going to get the it's kind of like looking for low hanging fruit. Somebody who is reluctantly living a carnivore lifestyle, reluctantly living a keto lifestyle, somebody who hasn't truly found or noticed or have been able to find all of the success or the benefits of a keto carnivore diet who are still missing the sugar aspect, the carb aspect of it. And really they're just looking for that one thing, the one excuse to go jumping back in the high carb pond. I think that's the low hanging fruit that some of these creators are kind of banking on because they're going to get views, they're going to get engagement, but I don't necessarily know to what end. And if they are they being disingenuous? Is the person are these people trying it, doing it, promoting it? The people who promoting it is what I'm more worrisome from. Like I saw Indigo Neely, she's trying it. I haven't got a chance to check out her video to see what she how she's kind of going about it, how she's doing it, what kind of things she's noticing. I haven't had a chance. And I would take someone like Neely seriously when they come forward and talk about their results or why they're doing it, what they're seeing from it, because she to me is a trusted creator. Some of the other ones are just kind of popping off and you've never seen them before. And I get to say, can you trust them with all of the positive reviews and positive results they're seeing from something called the sugar diet? That's my point of contention, my point of concern, not the people trying it. My worry is the people that are trying it are taking the creators at their word, and their word may not be worth much. That's my 2 cents on it. Jerry has a question. She says, "Ignorant question. Drop can I repeat a video I dropped when I made Anita's lemon bars revised to make my rendition editing using tallow keto brick, or is it the best just to remake the recipe video again?" I would probably say to benefit you better to make the video again because you're almost always going to be better at doing all of it again. You're going to be better now. Better camera placement, better sound, more experienced, less, you know, less nervous in front of the camera. There's always a benefit to making new content over just repurposing old content by just recycling some of the footage. That's my that's my advice, but I would say it's up to you. I don't say if you make changes to your own video and re-upload and then upload it as a new video, there's usually not a lot to get change the title and whatever. But I mean, you're taking old video and adding new content to it. I don't see that as a problem. Good morning, Janelle. Thank you for being here. Just stopped in to say hi. Well, I'm glad that you did. So glad to see you, Janelle. Sherry says, I've missed you all. Life has just been crazy. I understand 100%. Our life has been crazy. If you caught our Thursday live, we alluded to some of it. Some of it we can't talk about yet. Some of it is going to be soon. There's good news, not so good news, but it's all family stuff. Nothing earth shattering, nothing awful. Just the normal life stuff. And and being a forward facing, front facing channel where we do talk about our lives, there's just certain things we can't talk about yet. But some of that stuff is coming. We just gotta have to let it marinate. Marinate, you know what I mean? Let's see. People saying hello and good morning. I'm like a half an hour behind. Oh my goodness. I've been talking and talking and talking. Yes, my friend is sorry he went standard American diet, but everyone is scaring him about high fat. Well, he needs to tell them to mind their own business and get him involved with Dr. Barry, get him involved with Dr. Westman, all these wonderful people, you know, and get him involved with us. We'll help him. We're here to support, not judge. Hush, Rick. Delicious, more like disgusting. You think things are disgusting that the average person thinks are good. You got to remember, the average person isn't going to go, ooh, iguana. That's what I want for lunch today. It's a matter of perspective. I know people eat iguana, but you're one of the few people that I know that actually truly enjoys it and eats it on a regular basis. Sean says, how do people in Georgia and Florida do this heat? Virginia was in the 60s, 70s when I left. It's in the mid 90s here in Georgia this whole week. Gracious. Yeah. Well, the thing is you get accustomed to the heat. Some people do. Like, like you can become accustomed to living in the northern areas where it's colder longer. People down in Florida, it gets to be 70 degrees and they're putting winter jackets on. Like, like Shander's parents, they live in the southern tip of Florida. And when they come here, it could be in the 80s and her dad's wearing a coat. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. You get accustomed to the heat. Like, I don't want to go to their house. I don't want to stay in their terrarium. I like air conditioning. Let's see. Lisa's been on a craving nuts kick. I go on a kick every once in a while where I want cashews. The downside is cashews are like most carby nut you can basically find, but they're so delicious, and I have to be very careful. Instead of buying like a $5 tin of them, I'll get a $3 packet, like a one serving. It's like I feel like I'm wasting money though, and but I have to be careful. But I have to stop looking at processed sugars, flours, cookies as food. It is poison. But fruit is a dessert, and I should be consumed in moderation, if at all. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like I still like feel like I don't necessarily look at processed sugars, flours, cookies, and such. I don't look at them as poison. I look at what society has or where society has placed them in our food supply as poison. But I look at the things that make those foods as starvation food. Either you're, I mean, primarily we're eating meat, eggs, bacon, butter, cheese, vegetables, but those other foods can go a long way in our survival. And they've had a place in our survival across the millennia. Now, the hyper palatable, super processed foods do pose a serious risk and a danger to us. But I don't, it's hard for me to just straight up call something like that poison for the reason that it's more so the dose and not the product itself. But I think it's precautionary to call it poison, but then I think it sets an unhealthy precedent to call any kind of food like that poison, because then I think that there's going to be an unhealthy outcome for people who truly avoid that at all costs. Like, we've seen people in our community where they don't have enough money to buy things, and they are going to go without completely, without relying on some of these foods to help get them through. And I kind of look at that as dangerous as well. And I mean, that may be a very unpopular opinion, but if you don't have access to what would be considered the proper human diet foods, what do you do then? if you have people offering to give you food that doesn't necessarily fit into what would be considered a proper human diet, do you just turn it down? And if you're a person who is low body weight, like, doesn't have the build to be fasting long term, I think that's a scary proposition also. I think we should be picking and choosing and eating the best we can, as much and as consistently as we can. But I still think that looking and spreading the information that this stuff is poison is a little disingenuous, because while yes, it is a somewhat of a poison if you eat it all day every day, but I think having it mixed in with a healthy life, like once you are, I mean, if you can, I can say certain people should not eat these foods. Not everybody should eat these foods because you have unhealthy relationships with these foods. And I think, because we are such a diverse group, that we can't just blanket statement things. We shouldn't blanket statement things. The same thing with like the sugar diet. Like I said, just a few minutes ago, the fact that I don't necessarily think the people who are trying it are the issue. I think the people selling it as a good idea are more likely the problem. Now, I don't know for sure if they're being genuine or malevolent here, but are they just trying to get clicks, trying to get views, trying to get ad revenue? I don't know. Are they trying to play off of are they trying to play off things? And I know that that's not what your intentions are, Carl, and I'm not trying to, call you out or anything, because I love you. But I just think, like, I just see the term poison being thrown around a lot. I see things like the idea that carnivore is the way, carnivore is the only way. I mean, that's not true either. We are such a diverse group of people, and from different experiences, different life places, whatever. Sometimes words in my brain. But we're not a judgment place here. Everybody's gonna eat something differently, and it's like that's the thing, like, with Amy's friend who went back to SAD because people were saying, "Fat's bad for you. You can't eat fat." I kinda see that as the same thing as blanket statements that flour and cookies and such are poison. I mean, in modern times, it is definitely poisonous to us in the quantities that we consume. And I think we have to be careful and make those distinctions. Like with Rick saying something like pizza is disgusting, or I don't understand how anybody could eat that, it's disgusting. I think that's a blanket statement that doesn't fit. And we have to remember that everybody has perspectives and everybody has different life experiences and different goals and different things that they're working around. And I think we got to be careful with those blanket statements, because we have to understand that we are dealing with a planet full of people, different cultures, different everything. Like going into, you know, going into, say, India or China, where they eat lots and lots and lots of rice, is that rice poison to them? Or is that part of, I mean, these are questions we need to ask. So we would say here in the United States, don't eat rice, it's poison. But is it? Or is it just the quantities that you would eat? And these are just questions that I think it's so valuable for us to have a forum like this to truly get into the minutia. We have hours to talk about this every week. We can devote, we're about 2 hours into this conversation, and we can devote another hour or longer, provided the conversation continues. And I just think, that's one of the most important pieces of this is the communication, the talking things out, and just understanding, like, not I think just the blanket statements, like, like carnivore's the only way, or sugar is poison. Now, like, I mean, there are things like vegetable oils. They are definitely not good for us. They are poison to a degree. Do I think we're ever going to fully get rid of them out of our food supplies? Probably not. Typically, humans have a very short memory span. Will we focus on seed oils for now as a society? Like right now, there's more focus on it, and then is that going to go away and it's going to go back to the status quo? Maybe. I mean, we have RFK Jr. right now in the news, but he's not necessarily somebody that the average person right now trusts, and they don't trust him for a multitude of reasons. Now, some of us in our community trust him and full on stand behind everything he says. I am not one of those people. I like some of the things that he says, and I know that may or may not be popular with people, but I don't agree with anything. I don't agree with 100% of anybody, most likely. But I think there's an aspect of the things he says and the stances that he has on certain things that even if he is right, even if he's right about some of these things, people will not listen. There are things when you start making things political, it doesn't matter what you hold true in your heart. And we see this all the time. Things, and I'm not trying to be political here. So, but my thing is people who do look at things along party lines will be super excited for something until the other side goes, well, we should do that. Then you hate it and you don't want it anymore. We see that day in and day out, whether it's electric vehicles or being healthy or whatever, because you can have one side pushing a health agenda and the other side goes, that's crazy. Nope, nope, nope. And then the other side decides to push a health agenda and the other side goes, nope, that's crazy. So everything being so politicized really is a detriment to us because you're never going to get widespread unless it can happen truly organically. But I think, that's just like the whole thing of sugar is poison, carnivore's the only way, keto's the only way, vegan's the only way. There's no only way. And that's why I try to make sure that this community, the people who come here and join us, are doing our best to not just be inclusive to the best of our abilities, but to try to put some of these things to rest. Risa is here. Good morning, Risa. I'd have to agree. I think, well, seed oil is one of a big mistakes eaten by humans. But we were sold hook, line, and sinker. And I don't even necessarily think when they discovered it and created it that they knew that it would have adverse impacts. I think they just looked at it as cheap alternative to lard and fat. And they probably didn't even realize it wasn't good for us. And maybe I mean, I don't even know if they had the idea at the time. But this has like been a long term kind of thing. And now they've gotten so entrenched, it's hard for them to back out of it. And that's another reason I think that we have issues because for how long has the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, all these big, basically corporations have been providing us guidelines, recipes, rules, how to eat, how to live, and they can't just come out and go, "We were wrong about everything. Here's the new way." They have to slowly change things, and it's like turning a cruise ship around in a pond. You could probably do it. It's just going to take a long time. Jerry, she says, Dustin, we are begging Evil Lynn the keto brick recipe, cookie recipe. Well, that's because she's evil. She won't give it to you. I'm sure she'll give it out. If she sends it to me, if she chooses to send it to me, I will post it on my post on I will post it on YouTube as a post. I will put it on my Keto Indianapolis, Keto Indie, KetoSimple Indie Facebook page. and I will post it into my Instagram as well for anybody who follows me in any of those places. I will share it where I can for all of you wonderful, wonderful people. Donna says you have to understand that marketing and food mentality of the time, most of the stuff we have now didn't exist back then. Yeah, and I mean there was probably a lot of scarcity too. I mean, we're coming into in the early 20th century where food abundance was not quite yet a thing unless you had money. I mean, in that time, starving to death was a real possibility. Now we're in a now we're in a situation where you can eat yourself to death and do it in an impoverished state. You can be poor and eat yourself to death. The dynamic is truly shifted. So back then, Crisco was catered to the modern woman, the modern housewife. Very different than today. And Brian said, from some research I did on Crisco, it was made for World War One and World War Two lubricants. Yeah, but they were selling it to housewives in 1911. So they may have used it as a lubricant, but they were probably selling it they were probably selling it at a premium to the government. The government, like how they spend $200 on hammers, $200 a hammer or whatever it is, right? So they're probably getting a subsidy from the government to manufacture it to sell it to them for the war movement, but they were also making it and utilizing those subsidies to sell it to the masses. But they were selling it and introduced it to the modern woman in 1911. So, the war effort kicked off, but I imagine they knew it was coming. Sherry said, "This conversation has perfect timing for me. I definitely stress ate this weekend. I do good for months, and sometimes the sugar binge gets me." Yeah, and I kind of think like I do the same thing. Like I can do good and do well, and I feel great, and then like something pops up, and then I'm like off the rails for a day, or sometimes not necessarily off the rails, but I'm like making poorer choices for a week or two because I know what I need to do. I know what's best for me, just being able to decide, just what is, but oh, and Evelyn has shared her keto brick recipe cookies right here. Keto brick cookies. Still listening. Keep talking. I'm listening. Yes. Sherry says, anyone know how to make carnivore ice cream and a Ninja Creamy? I need my ice cream, and if I go carnivore for a while, that would help. I know that. Is it Courtney Luna? Does she have a carnivore ice cream, or is that steak and butter gal? Does she have a carnivore ice cream? I'm pretty sure they probably both do. But take a look at both of them. So take a look at steak and butter gal or Courtney Luna. And I imagine that any of those will probably work in the creamy if you freeze it in the creamy. Evelyn says, now where's your recipe, Jerry? Dun, dun, dun. Dr. Kiltz also, yes, Dr. Kiltz also has one. And he says, I'm sorry not participating in the chat. I'm packing up my stuff and I'm listening. Well, that's all we can ask for. I hope you're having fun, Andy. Cindy, just like keto chow recipes, swap out the keto brick flavor. I'm just not a fan of keto bricks. I'm just, you know what I mean? Gabriel, Paul's mom is here. I'm late this morning. I believe vegetable oil and cottonseed oil were invented during the war as lubricant for the machinery, then moved into our food system after the war was over. Yeah, I just know that, like I said, they started marketing it in the early 20th century, and it probably truly took off after World War One. After World War One ended in 1918, but And then I know that seed oils in abundance, like, the liquid ones, like the ubiquitous vegetable oils, probably truly took off in our food supply after World War II concluded. I imagine you could probably go down that rabbit hole. You know. So Bridesmaid said, I watched a few streams and candy is absolutely allowed and encouraged. The rules are no protein or starches or fats like grains, breads, butter, etc. Okay. Yeah, I knew she had. I just hadn't had a chance to. So Karen says that Indigo Neely had posted. I just haven't had a chance to watch her video. I've scrolled by it a few times. I just had other stuff in mind at the time to watch. Yeah, I knew she is doing it. Yeah, I'm aware of it. I just don't know. I don't know the ramifications that she's allowing herself. Risa said Indigo Neely is doing a whole food version of the sugar diet. She's eating a lot of fruit early in the day, no candy. So I think there's a distinction between some of the people that are doing it with and without candy. Because I know that we will see, and I've even asked Coach Bronson about this because Coach Bronson is a person that I trust when it comes to being in the gym and stuff. And I see that there are a lot of bodybuilders, people who truly are trying to get big and jack, like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger types back in the day, that prioritize after workouts eating candy because that raises insulin. So you'll have a huge sugar spike, insulin dump, and that's big for bulking. And they'll also use maltodextrin. You can go to GNC and buy tubs of just maltodextrin because it's a bulking agent, not just in the terms of adding it to, you know, stevia and sucralose to make, the dedicated products like the yellow packets. It's mostly maltodextrin because you use such a tiny amount of the sucralose. It's got to have something to bond to it to give you, a way to measure it. So like you get a teaspoon or whatever it is of Splenda, it's like 1% sucralose and 99% or 97% maltodextrin and then 1% dextrose or whatever. So yeah. Sean says that reminds me, whatever happened to Alter Ego? I haven't seen him in the chats for a very long time. I don't remember. Jackie! There's Jackie. We love Jackie. Good morning, Jackie. If you want to see Jackie and you want to hang out with her and kick her in the shins, come to our meetup. I don't know if registration is closed. You think I would know that, but I can't remember. Go to lowcarbevents.com, sign up, prepay, so you can come hang out with Jackie, Jaqueline herself. She's making pumpkin sausage soup. I'm super excited for that. I would eat a Fuji and let's see, boiled apples every morning for years. Thought I was eating healthy. This got sicker and fatter. Well, the boiled eggs part was all right. Fruit and veggies are so different. Grown to be sweeter and larger. Changes have also changed vitamins. Soil has changed. Yeah, there's just not as much vitamins in this. There's just not as much nutrients in the soil anymore. We've completely overgrown the land. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do anymore. Rick says, "Let them eat sugar. More meat for me." Jackie says, "Can't wait. I'm excited to see my friend Jackie. I miss her since because she's moved away from me and I don't see her nearly as often as I used to. We didn't see each other all that often anyway. But now that she lives like 4 hours away, I miss her more. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. Very true. Because if somebody lives down the road and you can see them anytime, then it's a little more difficult. And it's like Well, we'll see you next week. But then, like, when they move like to another state, another city, you're like, oh, there's my friend. You know what I mean? Let's see. Who is the longest time carnivore who encourages his friends to eat our growed fruits, veggies, and ferment? I don't know. You, Rick? Maybe. I don't know. Sean says, for the hyper ketosis and sugar diet, the proof will be in the pudding, not trying to be funny. It just happened. I will need to see sustained success before I even look at it. The thing is, it's all so new, and I don't really know who's promoting it. Brenda says, I knew a girl on sugar candy, soda, starches, was skinny but had Hashimoto, very sick. Yeah, the thing is, like, you can be skinny and not healthy at all. It's like Rick said, the skinniest people I knew were fruitarians. Well, I mean, you're not. I mean, you don't have any bulk. You don't have any muscle. There's no protein in fruit. You know what I mean? If there is, it's very, very, very little. Risa says, yes, Neely is doing the sugar diet. She has modified it to her lifestyle. She is eating all the sugar in the AM, lower fat meats, and whole foods. I trust her, not the folks who created it on TikTok. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I think if you do it like that, then I don't necessarily see there be really an issue. And I think she was already kind of heading that direction anyway. She wasn't doing keto or whatever, but she was still relatively low carb. Anu, Pat is here. Thank you for joining us. Truly appreciate you being here. Thank you so very much on this wonderful Sunday morning with coffee. If I were to make Sunday morning coffee merch, would you guys be interested? I've got a new shirt out. If you haven't gone over, go over to check out KetoSimple.shop and look at shirt designs. We've got hoodies and bags and aprons and all the fun stuff. If I made a Sunday morning coffee design t-shirt, would you be interested? I think right now, what is the date today? Today is the 18th. I think through tomorrow, 20% off anything you buy on my merch. You can click below into the into if you're watching on YouTube, you should be able to click below and see anything that I've got for sale on the merch, or go to KetoSimple.shop. Check that out. Any way to support the channel, truly appreciate that. Get a cool shirt. But if you like Sunday morning coffee merch, I might put something together and put it up there for you guys. Just let me know. And if you're interested, I will let you know whenever 20% off happens on my merch, because I don't want you paying full price because I think it's too expensive. But if I had a better way to get the merch to you, I would do it. But I just don't currently have means currently to get it out widespread to where anybody and everybody can order it without me having to lots and lots of upfront costs that I just don't have the ability to pay for right now. Andy says, this talk doesn't give me any motivation to come back to YouTube. It's just crazy, and I am not willing to deal with the naysayers as I eat keto carnivore and it's too stressful. I don't look at it that way. There's always going to be shifts in content. There's always going to be shifts. That's going to be like, with keto was one time the biggest search thing on YouTube, and then it shifts to carnivore, and then it'll shift to something else. I just figure I'm going to continue making the content that I make, and I don't really care about anything else. I just make the content that I need to make for me. And I think if you truly enjoy making content, then that would be the path to go for yourself. But I don't make content to make money, because I mean, I want to make money for the effort that I put into making the content, but I'm never going to be Mr. Beast. I'm never going to be making thousands of dollars a month on this. I wouldn't think. You never know. But I do this because this is something that I need to do for myself. And critics, and I don't see a lot of backlash. I don't see negative comments very often. And I know there's negativity in our community, but it's not here. And I don't allow it to be here. And seeing your pretty face, Andy, on a video does me a lot of good. And if making the content does you a lot of good, and me seeing it does me a lot of good, then I think it's worth it to do it. Doesn't matter if you're getting 3 views, 5 views, a million views, do it. You can go in and you can update blocked words and keep people out of your comments. And there's a lot of things that can be done, but I refuse to allow the outside world to impact me so greatly that I'm not able to do what I need to do for myself. I'm just not. And I don't necessarily see, I mean, YouTube can be extremely toxic. The internet can be extremely toxic. But as we know, it can also be extremely rewarding. And I choose to focus on the rewarding aspect of YouTube and this community because I think when we come together, we create something very beautiful here. And I refuse to give up on that. And Andy's like, she's like, I like my no stressful life right now. I have more stress outside of YouTube than I do on YouTube. I mean, between, with all of our kids and the things going on, that's where my stress is. This is not stress to me. YouTube is not stress to me. And I have a community in which, whether it's, Chris and Victor or anybody else who I'm in contact with that I can discuss what's going on YouTube. If there is something silly, something crazy going on, we can talk about it. Reach out. But I don't see this platform, I should say, I see this platform being whatever I want it to be. My little channel is going to be exactly what I want it to be. And I want it to be open, honest, raw, loving, compassionate. And I want people to come here knowing that they have a safe space to talk about what they want to talk about. And I need that too. I need that at the end of the week. I need to be able to talk with you guys and talk things through because we have things like the sugar diet coming through. We have things like hyperketosis coming through. That stuff is never going to stop. There's always going to be some new thing coming along. And I think that without you, without all of you, what's the point? But because you are here and I am here and we're here to make a difference. One person at a time. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. These changes that we see with health, whether it's seed oils or sugars or the way we look at fat and meat, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes perseverance. And I refuse to give up. I can't give up. My grandchildren's future depend on it. Their children's future depend on me doing this now, me starting this fire now, keeping it burning as long as I can. So I can't do a whole lot about the stress in my personal life, but I have control over the stress that I have in this life or in this place I have control. This place I control. You guys keep showing up. I'll still make these videos. I'll still do everything. I'm going to do lives because it helps make me be at peace with everything going on because we can talk it out. Because this place, I feel whole. This place, I feel seen and all that woo woo shit. Because we're all in this together. We're all fighting for this together. Our approaches may be different. Our daily lifestyles may be different, but we're all in this together and we have to be. Risa says, I wouldn't go on it, but it will be interesting to see what Neely's results are. Wendy and Harry are doing hyperketosis and enjoying it. Wendy did a video asking people to stop bothering her about it. And there's that. I think that's what would be something that would be done. But I kind of wonder, is she being bothered? I honestly don't know. Is she being bothered, pestered, or are they just asking questions? Questions. I mean, if you are a channel and people are asking questions about the content you're making, then answer them. I mean, if you're doing something you truly think you should be doing, then I don't see a problem with that. Andy says, I want an iguana. Rick will eat it. Well, Rick says you never get accustomed to the heat you use air conditioning. Well, yes. Yes, I understand that. But I mean, what do you set your air conditioner at, Rick? What temperature do you keep it in your house? That's the question. Brenda says, works for me, Rick. I say foods are disgusting, even if it's my favorite thing. Same as when I stopped smoking, I would say I don't smoke instead of I'm trying. Yeah, when I quit smoking, cigarette smoke smelled so good. It still does from time to time. People who smoke don't smell good, but if you catch a whiff of a cigarette across the street, there's a sweet smell to it. It's weird. I'm not the thing is I'm never gonna say something that's not true. If I like something, I like it. If I think it's delicious, I'll say it's delicious. Because whether or not I choose to eat it or not doesn't make it not good. I don't know. That's how I look at things. When food runs out, you hit the garden and the canal. Evelyn says, I have worse reactions to the seed oils than if I let a little little schnugger sneak into my sugar and sneak were kind of combining and making a new word. Sneak into my diet. Seed oils inflame me immediately. Yeah, I think they do me more so than I realize, and I do my best to avoid them where possible. But like, they're just in so much stuff. Like, I don't eat salad dressings anymore. I don't. I try not to eat anything that has them in it on a regular basis. But sometimes they're just in things you don't even. I mean, they're just in so much. Lisa's getting ready to head out. Gonna Going to head out to visit a friend. Can't wait to see everyone next week. I can't wait to see you, Lisa. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. Eyes Business says, I think metabolically flexible, low body fat elite athletes that use carbs as the quickest energy source leverage that for optimal performance from nutrition and metabolic processing for them. I still think even like I mean, considering that you can only store so much sugar on your body that's accessible at any given moment. So, like, you have whatever they say about 2,000 calories of glycogen stores in your body, roughly. I imagine it's not exactly for each individual person, some less, some more. But the average person is going to have hundreds of thousands of calories of fat on their body. And I think if you train that way, train for the fat and get yourself into a fat adapted state, I think that a lot of athletes will find they're still very explosive. But I don't know. I'm not an athlete very much. I'm not very athletic. I'm clumsy. I fall down. It's fine. And Sean says, Andy, I get that dealing with all the negativity, having a YouTube channel can be stressful. You have to look at your why. Why are you doing the channel? Naysayers be damned, just noise. That's the thing. That's what we're talking about. That's what I said in this, that's what the thumbnail says today on this live. The thumbnail says, shut off food noise, but also all the noise. How do you control what you can control? You can't control everything. I can't control the stress that our kids put on us because they're our kids and they're going to be here and they're going to be stressful, but I can control how I respond to it. And I respond on I know that if I'm eating like triple B&E, the food noise goes away. But that doesn't mean the food itself goes away. I still have cravings and I still have things that, kind of come in and go on different occasions. And I just have to learn to navigate that the best that I can. So Cindy says, exactly, Risa. About Neely and Wendy doing the hyperketosis, it's finding what may work for them. Yeah, and like I said, I totally support someone doing something that they think might work for them. And again, like it just comes back to The people I think that are the start of these things may not have had the best intentions, and that's what I worry about. And I haven't had a chance to truly dive into all of these things to see where they're coming from. And also, if you have somebody who's like, take someone like Robert Sykes, for example, if he were to come out and go, hey, I'm shredded and I eat 800 grams of Skittles every day and I'm shredded. You think people aren't going to jump on that and say, if I eat 800 grams of Skittles every day, I too can be shredded? That's where that's the thing that I worry about with these types of quick diets or whatever, because people look at them and they take away what they want to take away from them. That's what I like I said, I'm not worried about the individual people that are trying it. I worry about the individual people who are selling it, because we don't necessarily know their intentions. Are they coming from a, malevolent place, or a benevolent monkey banana raffle? Anyway, where are they coming from? That's what I gotta say. Sherry's out. Bye, friends. Need to get ready for church. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Trying to get through some of these. Oh yeah, Lily Kane did a carnivore ice cream. That's fantastic. I don't even know. Is she even? She made a video that said she wasn't carnivore anymore. I don't know. I didn't watch it because I always kind of figured that those are clickbait, and I don't have time to watch every video that comes across my feed. As much as I would like to, I don't have the time. Cindy says I have to go. Going out in a few. Love you all. Have a great day. Thank you for being here, Cindy. We love you. Jerry says, please tell the person asking for the keto brick recipe. I will get it out to both you, Dustin, and to repost and to Cindy. Fantastic. Jackie says, Douglas asked why I make the keto pumpkin chili every time. I said there would be a revolt if I didn't. You're not wrong. I feel like you make it just for me, and best heart I can give. I don't know. I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at hearts. Whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe we can do this. We can maybe see if this will work. There we go. There are the hearts for pumpkin sausage soup. There you go, Jackie. That's the hearts for the pumpkin sausage soup. It is the best soup ever. I kind of wonder if it reminds me kind of like when I was a kid, like my mom's friend would make chili. It would have noodles in it. It would have she'd make it with elbow macaroni and a lot of sugar. So it had a sweet tint to it. So maybe that's kind of like the pumpkin sausage soup is spicy, but it's a little sweet. And I mean, it doesn't have noodles in it, but like obviously. But I think it's kind of like one of those like nostalgia factors that's kind of like in your medulla oblongata. You know what I mean? I'm making things up. Don't listen to me. John Gugahan is back. You guys are still going. That's right. We're not even at 3 hours yet, man. Absinthe is terrifying. I tried it once. Not even the real stuff, and I was a really bad weekend. Anyway, thank you for being here, John. John says, I'm doing the whole food version of the sugar diet fruit juice, some veg, not much. Okay. There's Alter Eager. That someone was asking about you earlier. There we are. There you are. Welcome back. Honey and or some organic cane sugar. You want to go down a rabbit hole of devastating crops. Go down the rabbit hole of cane sugar. That's devastating. That'll blow your hair back, even if you don't have any. My goodness. The one thing I don't like is that some of the influencers promoting this are really bashing the low carb keto carnivore way of eating. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like I think it's like and let's see, there seems to be a lot of negative shade being thrown at keto carnivore way lately, and it's going to happen because anytime something becomes popular and kind of becomes a cultural norm, there's going to be reaction. There's almost always
opposite and equal reaction, right? Kind of like what E equals MC square is, right? Whenever something becomes a community and a driving force, there's going to be the opposite. There's going to be people who go, "How dare you? How dare you?" You know. And Andy says, "That's why I love you. You make me smile." Well, I'm here for that. I'm here for it all day, every day. No giving up. We're here for that. Anyway, so Sherry says, any content creator who feels necessary to bash another or be negative towards how someone chooses to live their journey is off my feed faster than you can finish reading this. Yeah, I think like I'm never here to bash anybody. I may bring up a video somebody says or something that I don't agree with. We can talk about it sometimes, but I'm not even really here to throw those creators under the bus, really, because if they're being disingenuous, and I truly think they're being disingenuous, then they're not worth my time mentioning. And if they are being genuine, then I'm not trying to throw shade at them. You know what I mean? That's one thing, like, working together with so many great, creators, like with me and Chris and Victor and everybody and all the people that I've had on my channel over the years, like, you're going to do you. And I'm not here to talk bad about anybody because we work better together, even if we're not all the same. And I'm sure that there's probably something that could happen that I would bring up or mention if it was truly bad enough, but it wouldn't be diet related, you know? I mean, we've got like Adrian, I know Adrian kind of was afraid to talk about her GOP1 journey because she was afraid how the community would react. And that's like if a carnivore decides to add fruit back into their diet or whatever, they might get some pushback. Or when people decide to not maybe be keto all the way or whatever, they go low carb or low cal or whatever they want to do, you got to be there and support them. Because if they're making what decision they think they need to make, you can have a conversation with them about it. Ask them, why? How did you get to that? How did you get that decision? Sometimes, though, I kind of feel like some of the decisions I see that are made by some creators to switch away from like low carb, keto, carnivore, or whatever are more self serving and not in a healthy way. They're more like, I want to eat what I want to eat, and I'm tired of having to put up. And I get that too. But, like, well, keto isn't working for me. And like, I mean, there's been creators who've walked away from keto and stuff and created other channels and such. And I just kind of wonder, I hope they're making the best decision they can for them. And sometimes I think they may make decisions on that based on views. And I hope that isn't necessarily the case. Or, like income decline and all that kind of things that can happen with YouTube. Because YouTube is just, YouTube itself isn't sustainable as far as income is concerned. It's all the other stuff. It's like, the merch and affiliate sales and sponsorships and who you choose to work with. And that's why for me, I have to be very careful because I don't want to set a precedent of working with companies that I don't truly believe in. And because I want to make sure that you guys can trust what I have to offer. And again, I'm never going to offer anything that you need or anything that okay, let me rephrase that. Anything that I offer, you probably don't need to be successful. It's all things that may make it easier for you, whether it's pre-made electrolytes or protein shakes or whether it's salty keto chow, my own merch. You don't need my merch to be successful. That's it. That's just there if you want to support me and we're a cool shirt. At least I think they're cool. But anyway, you know, uh, let's see. And Sherry says, everyone has their own journey and what works for them need to be encouraged. Not, yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, obviously, like, I do worry about the sugar diet. I worry that it is it's risky, especially for a lot of people in the low carb community that may have food addiction issues like myself. I worry about that for me. That's a concern that I have. I concerned like I couldn't even try to begin it to do it because I worry how it would impact me negatively with my food addiction issues. So, and I know that there's a lot more people out there with food addiction issues looking at this going, oh. So, in those cases, I think that I would be a little more conservative and advise against trying it. But you have to know you better. But if you can look at that diet and go, okay, well, maybe I'm going to give this a go for a little while, cool. Hopefully, you know what you're doing. Hopefully, you know yourself well enough. And maybe that's a path to self-discovery. Maybe you try it and you go, "Well, that was a huge mistake." And maybe you try it and go, "Well, that really helped me get over this plateau. Now I can go back doing what I was doing," or however you choose to do it. But I just refuse to be negative about it. I'm not trying to be negative about any of it. I worry about some of it because that's the nature of this community. I worry about everybody in this community, and I worry about new things that kinda come in, not because I think they're gonna take over, but I kinda where I worry, like, how are they gonna impact our community? Are they gonna be a positive impact or a negative impact? And I think we have to look at that realistically, and I know we have to help and encourage people on, on their journey and what might be right for them, but at the same time, we have to kinda look back and go, "Okay, we have to look at this realistically and keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't go sideways, you know?" And like I said, I don't know enough about these to truly be able to have an input, or I don't even really know where they started, what creators even started it. You have to kind of go back and look at that creator. What were they doing before? How did they develop this? What kind of background do they have? You know? Risa says people giving them stuff for doing hyper keto is getting a lot of negative comments in their videos. Yeah, I would say, like, I would just kinda, like, maybe put in some more parameters, because I play around with terms that there's things you can't like, if you say certain words, you're not getting a comment in my videos or in a live. And even my lives, you gotta be a member for 5 minutes before or, I mean, a subscriber for 5 minutes before you can even comment, just to kinda keep someone like someone comes in for 30 seconds, say something stupid, they have to wait around for 5 minutes, they're less likely to do that. But I didn't want to do it for any longer than 5 minutes, just for the fact that if you wanted to truly be a part of the community, 5 minutes isn't so long that you're going to miss the conversation. And Amy says gluten is my trigger. I can't walk for a couple of weeks if I have gluten. Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine. Amy says I need coffee and electrolytes pronto for this headache. Oh my goodness, I wish you didn't have the headaches. Yeah, mean comments on. Okay, so here's the thing. And this is coming from somebody who really doesn't get mean comments. I don't really get them. I've had some not so nice comments in the past, but nothing mean or nasty, just kind of dumb. Like, oh, clean your stove or whatever, like on a video, one of my early cooking videos. Some of the most hurtful things that have happened to me from being in this community weren't comments on YouTube. They've been things that have been said to me by people from the community outside of YouTube. So that's bothersome. That's one of those things, and I don't talk about it because it's not necessarily important enough to necessarily bring up or go into detail. Some of you may know, some of you may not. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not. And that's going to be where it stays because I'm trying not to bring negativity into any of this because being a positive force is so much more important to me than drudging up and having weird things go on. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not something that I'm into. But I'm here to support anybody and everybody. So, you know. But anyway, I figure the best thing you could do for any negative comments is just delete them and move on. But I understand that that is easier said than done. Easier said than done. But I think the longer you're on social media, and a lot of us have been here for a while, social media's been around since MySpace in what, 2005, 2000, something like that. That's like YouTube started in 2005. And then like Facebook started somewhere in that neighborhood as well. That all kind of started to grow together. And then Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. We have to build calluses against negative comments because unfortunately, no matter what we do to the defenses we build around ourselves and our community, they're going to come in sometimes. And that's unfortunately sort of nature of it to a degree. I try to keep out of it. I try to keep it away, and so far I've been relatively successful. And it doesn't really bother me because if you're saying something about me that has nothing to do with my content, then you weren't there for my content to begin with. The only thing that really would bother me would be stuff about my content, like, or saying that I'm being disingenuous or whatever. That would be things that would bother me. Saying that I am something that I am not. But you can come in and say nasty things on my channel, whatever. I'll just delete it. I don't care. It'll bother me for a little while, but the positive truly outweighs the negative, and I think we have to look at that. And I think if you really want to be involved in this community, you have to be prepared for a level of negativity. You just have to, unfortunately. And John said Robert Sykes came out against the sugar diet. I'd imagine there's going to be I imagine there's going to be quite a few people who come out against it because like I said, I mean, and on the surface, on the surface, it seems dangerous. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine if someone's doing it the way that I've heard them doing it, where they're eating like 600 grams of candy a day or carbohydrate candy. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't understand how that could be healthy for you until somebody can kind of go through the mechanism and it's kind of like kind of fact checked and will Dr. Barry talk about it? I don't know. I think he's probably mentioned in his lives. I'm sure someone super chatted him, asking him for his input on it. And I can imagine he doesn't support it either. And it doesn't matter whether they do or don't support it, on whether how I feel someone who tries it. But like I said, it all revolves back around the intentions of the people who started it. Did they start it just to get views? Did they start it just to cause waves? Did they do it just to kind of disrupt, what we're doing here? If they didn't, then and that's something that sounds like you're wanting to try, go for it. We have to be open to things that may be outside of the realm of our possibilities or our understanding that might work. But we have to be skeptical. I was skeptical about keto when I first started. I was very skeptical about low carb and keto and carnivore and fat and all that stuff, giving up sugar. How can I give up sugar? I got to have 100 grams of carbohydrates a day just to run my brain because that's what I was told. Do you guys remember in school when they told you that blood in your body is blue until it's oxygenated? You guys remember that? Hands up. Just put a hands up in the comments down below if that's something you remember learning. If you remember hearing and learning that blood is blue in the body until it gets oxygenated, let me know. Because I found out recently that that is not true. I mean, it was true to me till like a couple of days ago. And I was talking with Shander about it. She's a nurse. She goes, "Yeah, it's not true." And I'm like, "We were taught that, but we were never corrected until somebody on the internet goes, 'Hey, did you know that's not true?'" I'm like, "What?" So yeah. Ryan Fisher says Robert Sykes studied and understands addiction. I'm sure he is considering this and how some strategy, I'm not sure what that is, negatively impact the general population. Yeah. Paleo Barbie does keto. Lindy's in the house. Good morning from Colorado, friends. Where about in Colorado are you, Lindy? I love Colorado. That's like one of the most beautiful places in the world. I love mountains are some of my favorite places. We were watching Sound of Music last week with the girl, and I was like, I want to go to Switzerland, and I want to go to Austria, and I want to go to all those places, just like the Alps, just giant mountain ranges. Oh my goodness, I want to go. I want to go. Let's see. Alter Eager says, just heard in another video that more than 50% of content on the net is now created by non-human AI. So keep that in mind when someone throwing out negative comments. 50% are bots, likely more. Yeah, I'm typically most of the time it is going to be a bot. Twitter, there's a big bunch of bots there, Instagram. And I've noticed that like a lot of the surrounding like platforms, like I barely get views on my stories, whether they're Instagram, Instagram or whatever. I wish YouTube had stories. I wish you could post stories on YouTube. You were able to at one point in time. I wish you could do that again. They got rid of it. Twitter had fleets. I wish that. I like that, being able to put a story up, but nobody pays attention to it. So, like, that's what I get frustrated with the most when it comes to social media. For me, is engagement. Like, that's why I don't do streaming to Facebook anymore because I wasn't getting any engagement, and they're not gonna keep my content, and if they did, it wasn't searchable. You couldn't search for that and go back and watch it. People wouldn't find me that way. So, really, that's why I do here and Rumble and Twitter. Not that you can really search it on Twitter either. I don't know. But at least I know people are watching over on Twitter, on X. Like I said, if you're watching, say hey, let me know you're there. So I know I'd like to be able to know if those numbers are even real when it comes to X and what views I'm getting, how long they're staying. I don't have a lot of analytics like view duration and stuff. With YouTube, you can dig deep. That's what gets me down the most is the when it comes to YouTube and content creation, as you go and you put a video out and I know like 100 people see my short, but in the grand scheme of shorts, that's not very much because there's like 75 billion shorts views every single day. Now, 100 views on something is still quite a bit because if you get 100 people in a room, that's pretty crazy. But that's what I struggle with the most with myself is the views and the engagement because I mean, really, I want to help people, and I kind of feel it's difficult to help people if it's not getting out there and not being seen. And, I mean, these lives continue to grow and they get, more engagement and people come and they chat and hang out and talk with me. And that's hugely beneficial to me. But, videos I kind of put out and sometimes they don't really do much. They don't even like most videos on my channel never even reach 1,000 views. And I know that's on par for YouTube itself. For videos to reach 1,000 views is very rare in YouTube. I mean, the grand scheme of things, but still, like I'm coming up on 800 videos. But, I'm not trying to whine or complain, but I'm like, like we talk about what does bug us about the platforms. And it's not necessarily the negative comments. I don't necessarily see a lot of negative comments. And I imagine if I got my wish and got more views and more engagement, then the negative comments would increase. So it is a double-edged sword, but yeah. But AI is going to be an issue. AI is going to be one of those things, but I think as AI ramps up, the thirst for real, genuine content creators is also going to rise. So there's going to be a lot of noise, and I'm gonna call AI content noise for the time being. I know that AI can create meaningful, impactful content and probably will. But I think for the foreseeable future, one of the main things that we as humans are going to be able to do that AI isn't is going to be the relationship building, being a genuine entity that can respond, that can, be in a room with you. Because no matter how good your AI is, chances are they're not showing up to that meetup. Some AI creator isn't going to be able to show up at a meetup. The person behind the programming might be able to, but that's not the same. You're seeing my face here, and I will show up and be in the same room as you given the right circumstances. Like if I come over and I'm making breakfast in bed for you, say thank you, not all this, how did you get in my house business? It's one of my favorite jokes. Anyway, let's get to some more of these comments because you guys are amazing. And I'm glad that you're here, Lindy and Alto Eager. You were mentioned earlier. Speaking of Adrian, have you seen her doing the Meatstock lives yesterday? Very good. I saw some of them. Like I said, it's just difficult to watch everything. 'Cause there's times that I'm trying to watch things and look at stuff, and I'm not in a place where I can have the volume on. But I try. I try to keep up with everybody, but I fail miserably. Amy says that Amy says, I'll never make money on YouTube because I won't just take any sponsorship that I don't personally just use just to make money. Unless ribeyes and eggs sponsor me, then well, the problem with that is even you can get a sponsorship from like Butcher Box, but it's hard for me to even promote something like Butcher Box because they're so expensive. I wouldn't use Butcher Box because I can't afford Butcher Box. And that's one of the things that I talk about with Keto Chow. Keto Chow as a shake is kind of expensive. But if you're getting 12, 13, 14 chaffles out of a pack of Keto Chow, then that changes a little bit to me. Because then you're maybe getting 6 sandwiches out of that or 6 whatevers. 6 sandwiches for $5. That's not so bad, right? So, I mean, that's just one of those things. Like, I just think that, and understand, like, I don't judge people who take sponsorships for things that they may not even use or that are expensive because here's the way to kind of look at this. And this was explained to me by somebody and I want you to understand where I'm coming from this because I try to be as genuine as I possibly can. I understand the bulk of my core audience may not be able to afford some of the things that I may in the future be sponsored by. And understand that if I ever am in a situation of being sponsored by a company for something that is very expensive, even it might be priced out of my own price range, but if I think it's a good product and something that could suit those who can afford it, then I will gladly take the sponsorship because one thing that I've learned is if you are a company and you sell a product or you sell a service or you sell something and this might sound disingenuous, but I don't think it is. But the thing is as somebody who sells services, because I don't really sell anything outside of products that other people put out there. But I know that there are people out there who sell programs, courses, and all kinds of things. They sell their time. You can be a part of a group where you get their time, you get their one on one time, and you're paying a premium for their one on one time. But the thing is, if you don't offer a product at whatever price, people can't purchase it. So, you know, I I work with Keto Chow and Salty because I believe in who they are as a company. Are they a little more expensive than I wish they were? Sure. But at the same time, I always make sure to let everybody understand that I'm not selling it because I think everyone can afford it or should buy it. I don't even think you need it to be successful because you can truly live, you can lead a very healthy, active, successful lifestyle without ever having Keto Chow or Salty. Sure, Rick has never tried it and he's fine. But these are products that if you can afford them and want to use them in your day-to-day life, they can make things easier. You can use them to make the keto pumpkin sausage soup or chaffles or puddings or ice creams or whatever you want to make your life easier. and more sustainable and more consistent, then they're there for that. And there are products and courses and things out there that people with the money can justify spending that money because it does the same thing for them. And if I ever think that there's a program or a partnership or whatever out there that people may see that can afford it, then I might be willing to take that sponsorship. Now, that doesn't mean I think all of you need to buy it. Never do I think any of you people, any of you here in my community and its community as a whole need to purchase anything that I put out or be sponsored by. Never ever feel obligated to buy or do something you can't afford or not willing to do or aren't comfortable with. But, that's like what I always talk about Salty, not Salty, Element. Element's a company that I may never get an offer to work with because I've made content that's not necessarily negative to them, but it outlines my feelings about them. But again, like I said, those are just my feelings. That doesn't mean anybody else doesn't see that and go, well, that's not a huge deal to me. The maltodextrin issue, that's not a big deal to a majority of their customers. It doesn't factor into their decision at all, whether they know about it or not. The maltodextrin issue is a very small niche issue in our community. 'Cause even some people in our community don't care. There's a lot of people in our community who still are sponsored by Element. And I don't blame them for that because Element pays well. And Element's still a product that people in our community are willing to use. Now, does that mean I anticipate you to use it or whatever, ask you to use it? No. Element is a product that you want to use it and you're going to buy it through me. I mean, I'm not even sponsored or even affiliate with them, but you understand what I'm saying because there's going to be people who want to buy it, and why not buy it from me? But at this point, I'm not working with them, but they pay very, very well. That would be huge for me. And that's why I try to be upfront and honest about all this from the very beginning because, you know, I didn't want to work with Keto Chow at first. I didn't like their product at first. The first few flavors I tried, I was like, this is not good. And I didn't understand really how to make it. I tried to make it. And then it wasn't until like the creamy and then making it into like chaffles and different things I've tried, like the fudge. Then I was like, okay. And they put a couple flavors that I really liked. Then I was like, okay. And I already liked the company, but I didn't like the flavors. Then they changed some of the flavors and I liked them. And Salty, Salty's a company, and that's a company that I can get behind. I use it all the time now. Use it a couple of times a day sometimes. The blue is really good. I love the blue. Shander likes the grapefruit. Mondo melon is really good. I have a bunch of that. So that's just kind of the thing. Like, because I mean, realistically, when we're talking about YouTube and we're talking about this, the subject of money does come up because that is a factor in what we do and how we make content. Because you figure with YouTube right now, with all the affiliate stuff every month, how much I make on YouTube, I'm making less. And they always say, and one of the things today I saw was a person, and I'm not going to name their name, but they said the 7 things you don't do. One of the 7 things is talk about money. Don't talk about your failures. But I think talking about our failures is important. And I think in this context, talking about money is important because how much time and effort goes into doing this. So even right now, I'm sitting here, we're almost 3 hours. But I spent about a half hour, 45 minutes last night putting this together so we could do this today. So, I mean, a 3-hour live might be 4 hours of my time between putting it together, sitting here talking with you, and then I'll go back in later on and I'll reply to comments that come in for people who watch the replay. I mean, realistically, I don't make money from these lives too much outside of super chats because they don't get millions of views. They get 150 views. And my channel typically brings in about $4 to $7 for 1,000 views. So for me to get $4 to $7, I'd have to get 1,000 views. And that's just not where my channel is. And I think being transparent and open and honest about that, and I don't mean to sound like negative because I'm going to do this channel no matter what. But being open and honest, 'cause I think there's a subset of people out there who truly think that you're on YouTube, you're monetized, you're raking in the money. Like, so far, my biggest YouTube check with super chats, with memberships, with AdSense has been like $200 in a month. $200. That doesn't even that barely covers internet, the streaming service, and other things that I do. My son was just trying to call me. I need to text him real quick, let him know I'm still on my live. If I can find it. Ask him if everything is okay. I told him to come over today, hang out with me. Just let him know that I'll be done in about 30 minutes, probably. I don't know how long we'll go today, but we'll talk for a while because I'm still kind of on this, and I'm still like 30 minutes behind on my comments here. But yeah, like I mean, we're not making lots of money, and I don't anticipate to make lots of money, but you know, I do hopefully one day to make it sustainable to where everything I make from YouTube pays for everything I need. You know, it is a lot of work. I mean, for those of you who do it, you know, but it's a labor of love, and I mean, if you don't love this, it's not for you. So you know, and Jackie says, I feel like if everyone had some pork belly, the world would be a better place. Yeah, bacon, pork belly, a nice steak, some yummy, yummy foods. John Gugahan says, I think that if some keto carnivore influencers may come out against the sugar diet to protect the brand, I don't think that that's the case for Robert and Bronson. No, and I don't think there's obviously going to be like a knee jerk reaction. There's going to be a knee jerk reaction of that's the, you know, like just like how I'm like, when you hear the word sugar diet and you kind of hear some of the details, like you're eating all this candy or all this fruit or whatever, and that's a complete departure from what you're used to or what you've worked hard to get to. Because you know, even for me, like I haven't been a content creator the entire time I've been keto. I started an Instagram in the very beginning, but I wouldn't consider myself a content creator. I take a picture of my food and share it because I was like, well, maybe if I can show my progress and show what I'm doing, others will find benefit. That's it. And that's continuing to grow. And I want to make sure that people do follow and do find benefit. And I want to make sure that there's an inclusive, safe place for all of us to get together to have conversations like this and conversations about new things like the sugar diet. And I'm not trying to shame anybody who's trying it. And I'm not going to necessarily denounce it. I am going to say I don't think it's a good idea for everybody. I don't think it's a good idea for me. It's an awful, horrible, bad, terrible, very big news, very bad time for me. Very bad. Very, very bad for me. I wouldn't do it. At least not yet. Unless until you know what I mean? Unless there's a lot of proof saying someone in a food addicted state could do it. It's gonna help, but I don't think it's gonna help me. I think it's gonna hurt me. Now, will it help somebody else? Possibly. That's why I can't kind of completely denounce it, but I'm coming from my own perspective. I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are in relationship to your own food and all that. Where you are in your weight loss goals. Are you kind of trying to do this to get the last 10 pounds off? Are you trying to do it? Maybe you get shredded. I don't know. Good luck. But I'm not here to be negative about it. I'm just here to say that I think we shouldn't be knee jerk and jump into it. And I don't think we should be knee jerk and denounce it. It sounds terrifying. It sounds like a really bad idea. And I'll be honest about that. Just, it sounds like a terrible idea. It sounds like a terrible idea. But I'm not going to judge those who are trying it because I look at it at the surface level and I go, whoop, that sounds awful. I'm not doing that. And then I hear a little bit more information. I'm like, whoop, that's definitely not for me. That'd be devastating for me because I would go so hard in the paint. I would. I just know me. I know. I'd be having pallets of Sour Patch Kids show up at my house. My teeth would be falling out. It'd be awful. Woo! Jerry's asking, has anybody else seen any of their meat stock videos that I can look for? Join the Meatstock Facebook page if you're on Facebook. I joined yesterday to see some pictures because Jennifer Lucas had shared some photos with me, and Chris had sent a couple photos to me because he and Ash are there right now. I was actually going to talk about a little bit of that today. Just talk about some of this if I can find it. I want to talk about meat stock. I kind of like, I was hoping that maybe Amanda Carnivorous Me was going to show up because she's been on the poster as of being in attendance since it's been announced. And I've been asking people who were there, has anybody seen or heard from Amanda from Carnivorous Me? Because I know that she went through a lot of stuff about a year or so ago, maybe more now, and she walked away from YouTube. She was growing fast. She's already she's well over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I could go in and look now to see where she's at. Yeah, she's at 105,000 subscribers. And she made content for about a year. Like, she has a video that I just popped up here. We have been deceived. I ate meat only for 8 months. Here's what happened. 3.2 million views. And then she just walked away about a year ago. And I hope she's doing good. I want her to succeed. I want her to not have had that negative interactions with all those people and come out ahead and come out and not resorted back to where she was before. That's why I was hoping beyond hope that she was going to be at Meatstock. So if anybody hears anything about her, reach out to me any way you can, any way you can find to get in touch with me, and let me know if anybody hears. Because I've got Jennifer Lucas is on the ground, and I've talked to Chris and Ash. They are on the ground there. I don't know how they're not going to be there the whole time, but hopefully, if she's there, hopefully she's doing good and she has some positive stuff. And I don't know if she'll ever come back to YouTube, but it's like how I felt about Butter Bob. Butter Bob Briggs. He was an inspiration to me and got me started, with this lifestyle too. And he was one of the early people in the beginning, and then he walked away. So those are things that I worry about. Bride's Biscuit says, I feel that influencer space supporting varied strategies like the sugar diet have a more focused and balanced relationship with food plus metabolic flexibility that the general population viewing. Yeah, I think if you are somebody who's shredded in the gym 10 hours a day, the sugar diet probably isn't a big deal to you because you're probably already eating candy after your workout, or some people take insulin after a workout, or they're taking maltodextrin and they're trying to do all these things to get that pump. And do I think that's healthy? Probably not. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't barely even go to the gym. I need to, but you know what I mean? John says, I do have to say I'm experiencing a lot of gas and some poop soup going on. I mean, you're changing your gut biome from what you're normally eating. So if you were normally eating a more ketovore leaning ketogenic diet, and then you switch to fruits and sugars and stuff like that, your body's got to change. Just like if you went from a regular diet to carnivore, you probably have the same reaction. So that's to be expected. Carnivore Jerry says Dustin told us a few months ago that Element pays influencers anywhere from 400 to a whopping 1,200 a month. Yeah, I mean, no, that's $400 to $1,200 a video, and they may sponsor 4 videos or more a month, depending on how many units you move, how much product you sell for them. So if you're big time, if you're selling a lot of Element for them, they're going to pay you well. So $400 to $1,200 a video. So you might make, if you do $400 a video and they do 4 videos, that's $1,200. Well, that's $1,600 for a month. Or they give you $1,200 for a video. Because I know there's some creators we know, some people on this platform that we know are probably making more than that per video and getting more videos than that. They could be making $10,000 a month just from Element sponsorships. And it's a wonder that they wouldn't just walk away from that from a little maltodextrin, where a subset of their viewership may be upset about it, but the bulk of them don't care. Because I would say, like, yes, if element and the maltodextrin issue bothers you, then yeah, don't use it. We still have a bunch in the house from before, or even knew there was maltodextrin in it. I'm still going to use it. I still have tons. I have lots and lots of those, like the little the sampler packs and stuff. I got tons of those. I'm going to use it. It doesn't taste bad. And I think there's the only real electrolyte right now that doesn't have maltodextrin, I want to say, is besides salty, might be Dr. Berg's. I don't know. There's a spreadsheet out there that Chris from Keto Chow put together that has all the different electrolyte brands and flavors and whether they do or don't have maltodextrin in them. So yeah. Yeah, and Jackie says, yeah, because we don't need their negativity bringing us down. Yeah, and Lindy says it just sounds crazy to all that sugar, and I agree too. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it sounds wonky, and to have that negative reaction or the negative outlook on it from the very beginning doesn't seem too out of the realm for our community. Our community seems like we'd be like, "Pfft, sugar diet? That's crazy," because that seems to be what got us here in the first place. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. Jerry says, my teeth hurt just reading about eating it all. Yeah, 100%. And Bride's Biscuit says, one common theme I keep hearing is it's not a diet, but a short term strategy, which at least seems like the healthiest way to consider using sugar. Yeah, I would say that too. Like, but is it short term? Can you turn it on and then turn it right back off again? For someone like me, I don't think I could. I would be like, I would just be in the corner, just mainlining cake frosting. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be so bad because it would start off being, all that, and then would just turn south real fast. I heard that Blue Bloods. People were saying me, 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 me. Arvada, which is a suburb of Denver. We spent time in Denver. I've been to the venue there to see Clutch, and we spent time there. But usually we stay in and around the. I think we stayed at. I think we had a. Trying to think, we stay. I think we always stay in Colorado Springs when we stay there. We go fly to Denver, drive to Colorado Springs. That's where we have some in laws there. I can put out a short about food and low views, but put up a baby chick short and it explodes. I mean, that's just the thing. I think I put that video up yesterday, and it's probably, let me see where it's at now. Let's see. It's at 200 views now. So when I went, I released it yesterday evening about 8 o'clock or so. I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. So it's at 200 views, 7 likes. So the engagement is just, I think it's a funny video. If you haven't got a chance to go watch it, go watch my newest short. I think it's funny. See if you can pick out why I think it's funny. Don't worry. Skynet will send a T1000 to your meetup at some point. That'll be fun. I'll be back. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. That was a terrible impression, and I'm sorry. Alto says, just came back with my ribs brekkie, trying to get my no carb mojo back. I slipped over the holidays, still slipping. Yeah, that's what we're here for. We're here to get you back on track. No judgment. But your comments about community ring so true. We need to get back to having actual, real, face-to-face communities. It's so difficult though because we do local meetups, but it's hard to do all the time. Like even like a once a month thing is difficult. But we do this once a week here virtually. So virtually, I can reach out. I got people here from Australia. I have people here from sometimes like South Africa, Vietnam. I have people here from all over the world, and it's so awesome. And like, it's like whenever somebody's from like real far away, I'm like, really? How did you find me? Like, why are you here? Like, like the same thing. Like if I'm ever, because I live in Indiana, and I would be out at the bar sometimes, and that's where you meet most of your people. And like there'd be like somebody from like, I'm like, well, how did you end up here? How did you end up from way over there to here? Like, how did you? We're like 3 hours from Chicago. I mean, Chicago's where you want to go. You don't want to go to Indiana, unless it's that 1 month in May where we get an influx of like like I think the Indianapolis 500 sold out this year, so it's 350,000 people will be in Speedway, which is about 8 miles from my house, and it'll be packed. So that weekend we don't go. We don't race day. You just stay home. Chandler has to go to work, but that day you don't go anywhere unless you go west. And sometimes getting back east makes it more difficult. But yes, I mean, we get an influx of tourism from the 500. But keto, ribeye, and eggs. Reese's got to go. Got called in early today. Have two ready to leave. Okay, have a good one. Thank you for being here. I know you're probably long gone. Alto says, Reese, sugar diet sounds like 40 years of my life that ballooned my weight and inflammation directly not for me. Yeah, I don't think I could handle it. And Jackie's kind of on the same level as me. She's like, I feel like the sugar diet would send me into a spiral binge of honey buns and brownies. Well, I don't like honey buns, but brownies, cookies, ice cream, tubs and tubs of ice cream, pizzas, because that wouldn't stop. Because like you can't eat like it's hard to eat like a pound or two of beef, but you can eat like 4 pounds of pizza. You know what I mean? There's just like you gotta know. And Bryce basically says, not gonna lie, one takeaway from this stream is I have a 50% chance to go out and crush a family pack of Sour Patch Kids, but I know at the end of the day, I'll walk the line. Yes. Thing is they're always there. That stuff isn't going away. There's a full aisle of candy everywhere you go. There's checkout lines. There's candy, 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 candy. And the thing is keeping it off your radar the best you can. None of us are perfect, but we're here because we need to be. Sean says the lack of a gallbladder causes the poop soup for me. Sometimes just out of the blue, I have to make an emergency trip to the toilet. That's just how my body is now. Way worse than before. Way worse before keto. Oh yeah, there were times like I was going to the bathroom like 6 times a day. Just horrific gas. And I remember somebody on my Facebook was like, "If you have to break wind at work, go to the bathroom." And I'm like, I would have been fired. Every time I had to break wind or fart or go to the bathroom, I mean, it was already kind of an issue because I had to be very careful in which bathroom I went to. I had to go to the bathroom, and if the stall that I needed wasn't open, I had to go upstairs or downstairs. Hopefully, find one before the levee broke. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Gabrielle says Berg's doesn't dissolve well. Found them one time I bought it, and it was years ago, so they may have changed it since. And I have a packet or two in my. Somebody gave me a couple of packets. I have just about every brand I think you can find. I've had just about every brand you can find easily. Ultima or whatever it's called. I've got Element. I've got Redmond's Relight. Perfect Keto. I've got obviously Salty. I've got just about anything. A couple of Dr. Berg's. We've got Liquid IV, the sugar-free Liquid IV stuff. That's pretty good. I like it. Yes, it does have not as much electrolytes in it, but it does have allulose. So I'm kind of curious if that allulose, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, Jerry says per video. Yes. But they have stipulations to be, sponsored by them. I think it used to be like they would sponsor you if you were just the right channel. Now I think they've bumped it up to it was like 10,000 subscribers. And they look at your metrics. They want to look at your metrics, what's your engagement? And then once you start selling for them or start being sponsored by them, what's your click-through rate for them? Are you putting this out there? How many people are clicking in and how many people are clicking your link versus how many people are buying? And if they're not buying enough, then they're not going to sponsor you again. They'll probably do like a 1 or 2 video deal for you. And then if you sell through well, then they'll continue to do it because like Myra, low carb love, is sponsored by them from time to time. She does other sponsorships too. She's got over 1,000,000 subscribers, so that probably wouldn't be that big of an issue. But like, you know, how much are you selling for them? If you're selling enough, of course they're going to throw money at you because that's their main way of promotion. Bridesmaid says turning the sugar switch on and off. That's my concern too. As a carb addict, I believe influencers will have an easier time flipping that switch than the casual viewer. Yeah, I mean, if you are somebody who is a bodybuilder, somebody who's in the gym, who's in peak physical performance, that's like when you see like these influencers like where they kind of go back and forth. Like you should, what's his name from who lives in like Hawaii or somewhere, lives in South America somewhere. He surfs all the time, and he's eating all this fruit because he's surfing 6 hours a day. He's in peak physical condition. Of course, he can eat that stuff. And I think sometimes these influencers that get to peak physical performance and peak physical condition forget that people who are watching them are not. They're in the very beginning stages of just getting their life back. And I think they forget that because they just assume that people are watching their content and they're making videos about this stuff, that they're speaking to people who can do just like they do. There's never a caveat. There's never a like a disclaimer. By the way, if you just started keto 2 weeks ago, this isn't for you. If you just started carnivore 5 months ago, this isn't for you. If you were carnivore for 15 years and you're peak physical condition and you're metabolically flexible and you want to throw back a pineapple every once in a while, okay, fine. But for the average person who's watching this content, they see somebody, an influencer, saying, well, I'm a carnivore and I eat this, that, and the other, and I eat all this fruit every day. I'm eating mangoes off the vine, and I'm eating all this pineapple and watermelon and all this stuff, and it's fantastic, and I feel great. Well, cool. You're surfing 6 hours a day. You're probably going to the gym. You're probably, you are in peak physical condition. Your body is cool with it. Ours is not. And I just never see a disclaimer, never see anything like that, never a mention of it. And that bothers me. And that's where that's what bothers me about the sugar diet. And I haven't watched into the content, but I imagine they're not saying, hey, did you start keto 2 weeks ago? Then this probably isn't for you. Because I'd imagine it's not. Are you still suffering with carb addiction? Are you still suffering with food addiction? Does like triple B&E help with your food noise? Then probably eating Skittles isn't going to help you. And I think we need to look at it like that. And I don't think it's negative to say those things. And I don't think it's negative against the people who are trying it. Because if you think you are ready to try it, go for it. I got your back. If it doesn't work, okay, you tried. So what? Alto says, yeah, I'm on my spiral binge from holidays, and I hear you on mainlining frosting. I used to wake up every damn day wanting frosting, trying to shift to dates to wean off craving. Ugh, dates sound gross. Dates, that's like one of the things that I hate the most about like the health food thing right now. Like sweetened with dates. And I'm like, ugh. That's like we sweeten it with prunes. Gross. Disgusting. I know I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but like dates sound awful to me. Like, oh, like they're like, if you wrap a date in this, it tastes like a Snickers bar. And I'm like, liar, liar. Lindy's off to church. See you later. Thank you for being here, wonderful lady. Hope you have a great rest of your day and have a wonderful trip in Colorado. Let's see. It's a sugar mixed with fat is what did us in. Straight up sugar in the absence of fat and protein is just pure fuel that will burn quickly, and then the fat will be used and burned off. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, liquid IV does taste pretty sweet, but I don't use less than like 30 ounces of water. I use more water the sweeter it is. There's been times where like I'm not even fully seated yet and things have started to evacuate. You know what I'm saying? Those are rough days. Those are really, really rough days. And you know what I'm saying? Bride's Biscuit says DeLauer was quick to not throw the sugar diet under the bus. Yeah, but he's in like peak physical condition. He's a jacked dude. So it's one of those things like I can't expect him to, to say something bad against it. It's just one of those things. Like that's just what I would expect from him. But with that, I think today is a wrap. 3 hours, 20 minutes. Thank you all so very much for being here. Hold on a second. Wait for this. A little bit more. Evelyn said, my mom used to put dates on the cookie tray with chunks of cream cheese inside them. I tried them with the cream cheese, not really by themselves. That's where they belong on the cookie tray. I'm not just dates don't sound good to me. Sonny says, I've been up getting ready to go to work and I see you're still on. That's right. But nobody goes hard and fast in the paint like you, Sonny. You do like 6-7 hour lives. I don't understand. I need you to reach out to me somehow and let me know like how your watch time is for that. That's gonna be crazy. I'm just curious. I love it. I love it. I love it. Keep doing it. Keep being a positive force in your community, Sonny, and ours too. Sherry says, I could eat anything I wanted back in my dancing days, and and it was an hourglass figure, hard body. I didn't though eat an excess of sugar, never drank soda pop either, but did eat carbs along with my veggies. Yeah. What's the record for your live, Dustin? I think I've gone a little over 4 hours a couple years ago with the Lionesses. We did a Christmas Eve live like last year, like 2023 Christmas, and we did like over 4 hours. I think. Go back and check that out. Peace out, fam. Amy, thank you for being here, dear. Have a great day. I hope your headache gets better. Sonny, thank you again for stopping by. Sherry said, stop dancing, and that is when I gained the weight. Alto, have a great day. Thank you. Ooh. Let's see. John says, I'm hopping on a live about the sugar diet at 11 a.m. Good luck, my friend. Keep us posted on your progress and things you find, because I'm going to go to you as my resident expert. Bye-bye, everybody. I love all of you guys. Let's see. Record live is 12 hours. Fantastic, Sonny. Anyway, thank you all so very much. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so very, very much. Love you, Evelyn. Here are the credits.